Oh no, Grogu is endangered. He needs help. Send in the Razor Crest.
Welcome back, listeners. Today we have a very special broadcast of Permanent Detour. We brought a very special guest on today. Everyone give a warm welcome to R.R. Slugger.
Thanks guys. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you on. So, just starting out, do you want to do like just a brief few sentence overview of what you do on YouTube?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm a YouTuber now, and I'm coming to terms with that, unfortunately. Over on my channel, our Slugger, I make videos talking about Lego and Lego's history, specifically Rock Raiders as a theme that they worked on in 1999, and branching out from there, doing some Time Cruiser stuff, getting ready for Alpha Team, Life on Mars, that sort of stuff as well. It's more than just set reviews, I want to say. Each time I write a script for a video, I try to make sure that it also talks about Lego on a larger scale, as a bit of a microcosm of a larger thing. And so it's not your typical, here's the set, I hold it up to the camera sort of deal. There's a lot more, I think, that goes into it than that, at least from my perspective. But yeah, I try to take these sets and give them their own unique spin in my videos.
Yeah, and as a viewer, I've noticed that same thing, that in your content you bring life to the sets and Lego as a whole, and it's not just you holding it up to the camera, which is what a lot of people do.
Thanks.
And I think that's one of the most compelling things that you do on your channel, is that it's so different.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, jumping right into topics then.
Yeah, I think so. Again, Slugger, I just want to thank you for coming on. It's a huge honor to you be our first official YouTube guest, and we're both pretty big fans of your channel, and we haven't really had the opportunity to do an episode on Lego yet, so we figured this would be the perfect time to do it, because we haven't really mentioned this in a previous episode, but we are both Lego collectors as well, even though we're maybe a little too young for Rock Raiders.
Yeah, we're a little. We missed the.
Yeah, we weren't around for that part.
We missed the Rock Raiders era by a couple years. Yeah, but we had Power Miners, so it's like the same thing.
Yeah,
it's
we
like
got
apples
power.
to
We
apples,
got the diet. We got the diet version.
Yeah, we got the lime green version.
Yeah,
The Fisher
we got the
Price
Diet
version.
Coke version. Yep.
Oh.
But we both mainly collect Lego Star Wars, because Star Wars is like one of our personal favorite franchises. We've done a bunch of episodes on it, our Star Wars content already, but
Yeah.
So that's a good lead into our first topic. How do you feel Disney's been handling the Disney Plus platform?
So for the viewers, the listeners at home, tuning into the podcast here, I was really upfront with this, or with the guys about this, saying I don't have Disney Plus. I haven't seen these shows. I don't know what you guys want to talk about on the podcast, because I can't talk about this sort of stuff.
You telling me you don't understand the implications of Disney buying Lucasfilm? You don't understand the implications on the Star Wars franchise? Come on, man.
I found that to be my favorite repeat joke, because when I first approached you on Instagram and I asked you, hey, we found your channel, we'd love for you to come on as a guest. You're like, yeah, I'll go and I'll watch some of your videos, and I'll decide basically. And you text me back and you're like, hey, I just don't think I would be a great fit. I don't really watch the Disney Plus stuff, and I just don't know where I would fit into your content. And I was like, oh yeah, everything we put out is Disney Plus. It's like, that probably would be a little off-putting to somebody who does Lego on YouTube.
Yeah, but one thing about your podcast that really intrigued me was the energy and dynamics between the two of you as hosts. I really picked up on that immediately, and I was a little worried coming on here today that my old slow millennial nature wouldn't be able to keep up with you guys. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try my best to stay on the ball here and keep chiming in.
I mean, well, in all our conversations we've had over, on calls prior to this, you've kept up with us fine. This is pretty much the same thing, just with an intro.
Nah, you've been doing great, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you keep up more than fine.
Yeah. Let's move into the Lego now. So
Yeah, let's actually
let's
get
actually
into
talk about
topics now.
Lego.
So I was just kind of, well, okay, this isn't Lego. I wanted to talk about something that wasn't Lego first because
Okay.
I was more concerned on talking about his YouTube channel.
Sure,
It's something that
sure.
I've been personally wondering is just you've gotten monetization now and you've grown immensely just in the time that I've been watching your channel. And I'm just wondering, you have quite a few videos. What that you've put on YouTube are you most proud of?
Yeah, it's a good question. With regards to the channel growth and monetization and whatnot like that, it's all stuff I've been very afraid of because I like having that tight knit community. And with any sort of growth like that, it's inevitable that eventually you're going to reach that point where you just can't read and respond to all of the comments. Luckily, I'm still within that bubble, so I'm still able to do that. And you might think that, like, well, maybe it's these videos that blew up with the algorithm that Slugger's most proud of. But oftentimes those are the ones that I'm, they kind of sour over time. And it's one of the weird dualities of YouTube where you create something and it's seen by a lot of people, and at first it's really great, and as time goes on and the more people that see it does start to like over ripen. It sours the fruit. And so those videos that have, because I know there's one that's, I think it's got about 170,000 views on it, and the other one that's got 50,000, something like that. Those are the ones that YouTube grabbed onto and said, like, hey, let's show the world these videos. And over time, the comments just get more and more negative, and you start to just dislike the video more and more, essentially. And so those big videos, the big popular ones that a lot of people came to the channel because of those videos, those are the ones that I'm probably least happy with now, and it's maybe not the fault of the video itself, but rather how it's kind of colored my my lens of looking at it. The ones that I am most proud of, though, include The Race for Survival, which was the novel that was written for the Rock Raiders theme, and I went through and re-photographed the whole book. I did a reading of it and basically just shot new illustrations for it. I was pretty proud with how that one turned out. And I think another one that I thought was really great was the 1012 subscriber special, where I take a look at a model team set that had 1012 pieces in it. And in that one, it's because I had to race to get it done. It was so under the gun, the production of that episode, and just breakneck speed. Pretty much every waking moment I was working on getting that video done because the subscribers were pouring in at that point. I jumped from 300 to 1,300 basically in 3 days, and so I just had to work on this video that I thought I was gonna have years to do still, basically, because at the rate that it had been going, it had been 8, maybe 10 months on YouTube. And actually almost a year now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, almost a year on YouTube. And in a year, I'd basically gained 300 subscribers right around that part. And so I was thinking, okay, well, given that metric, I've got X amount of years to work on this video. But that wasn't the case.
No, that's definitely something I really appreciate about your channel in particular, is because like my passion is very much in the realm of photography and video work, and I really appreciate the stop motion and the quality of the photographs and how it makes each video more unique. And then it just adds another layer to, again, it just being like the classic Lego white background, white tablecloth,
right,
spinning them around on the clear
put it on the
thing.
clear
Yeah,
Lazy Susan and show us the
the clear
360.
Lazy Susan.
Yeah,
And it makes the review like that. I'm that much more engaged in the set, and also the storytelling aspect of the set, because you tend to put a lot more like story elements into like reviewing the set, which a lot of people, I don't think I've ever seen another Lego YouTuber really have any sort of like, because it makes me feel more connected to the set now that I know the background of it, and like
the
like
characters.
yeah, the characters, and like what the Lego designers were thinking when they were making the set. And it's not an insight you usually get, especially into modern day. I would say the Lego's a lot more closed off about that kind of information today.
Yeah. Well, an interesting thing also is how the way you dive into the history of Lego. you also talk a lot about how the sets for Rock Raiders were developed alongside the game.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you show a lot of images, like comparing. It looks like this in the game, and then this is the prototype images that we saw on the back of another box, and then this is the final product, and all three are different because they all got developed at the same time. So there are pieces that have just never been released that you see in some of those things.
Absolutely. And in terms of Rock Raiders in particular, it's one of the most or it's a theme that we have access to as the general public that has the most amount of released or leaked or whatever you want to call it, prototype material for it. And this is all stuff that has come about relatively recently, believe it or not. In 2020, I think it was in September 2020, some old hard drives were discovered from Data Design Interactive, which was the company that was licensed to make the PC game. And on these hard drives was so much information and all these prototype images and photos. Any of the stuff that you see that looks like an early render in one of my videos, that sort of stuff was taken from those hard drives. And we're still kind of sifting through and digging through the information that's on those drives to this day. I'm a part of the group that's kind of doing that as well, and so there'll be more updates over this summer. I'm hoping to put together a timeline so that we can see, okay, this was when they struck the deal with Lego in making the game, and this is when this part of the game was developed, and here's the milestone they hit on this date, that sort of thing. But yeah, basically over the course of over 2 years, they were working on this video game as well as Rock Raiders as a theme. So they signed that deal in 1997 and then moved on from there.
Yeah, and just going back to my original question of something you were proud of that I just wanted to touch on that I've noticed is you mentioned your community, and I think that's an important thing to talk about because out of a lot of the things you see on YouTube, I've watched your live streams and stuff and your videos, and I've looked through the comments and stuff, and you have a very wholesome community. Like you don't get like anything negative from these people like in your live stream when you had there was like 40 people yesterday and nobody was disagreeing with you or anything, and a lot of your comments tend to be like that too. Nobody's saying anything bad, which is rare on the internet nowadays. It's not something common.
Yeah, it's why I'm so afraid of channel growth, essentially, right? Because we've got such a nice thing going for us right now. I just don't want to see that get destroyed at some point. And it's one of the reasons why those videos that do blow up, that get seen by a ton of people, are the ones I'm least happy with, because a lot of the people that come in are the ones that leave the negative comments or just don't understand what the channel's about, right? So on the other hand, you don't want to create like an echo chamber where it's just everybody agreeing with each other all the time. And I think there's definitely the potential for that with the comment sections on my videos. But moving past that, I try to express it in as verbose of a way I can when I'm making my videos or writing my scripts, but you don't have to agree with me, right? And there was a recent video I did, I think it was the latest one I did at the time of this recording, Rock Raiders canon, like what is considered canon in the Rock Raiders universe. And one of the things that I really try to emphasize in that video is these are all the different bits of lore that exist in the Rock Raiders world. You don't have to consider them all canon. I don't, but you don't even have to consider the ones that I consider canon to be canon. Like, it's whatever you make of it, right? And you get to use your imagination to connect the dots. It's not the same as Star Wars is a good example, where there's like tiers of canon, or there used to be, I guess, before Disney acquired it. There used to be all the different tiers of canon, and it's not the same with something like Lego Rock Raiders, where there's official sources of canon and they all contradict each other, right? So you have to decide, okay, well, I like this part and I like this part, but I don't like that part, right? So it's up to the individual to decide.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that's very it's catchy about Rock Raiders, is that it's something Lego made themselves. It's one of the not licensed brands, and it has like a world around it, and like these characters that are in the sets have like attributes and stuff, like lore about them.
Totally, yeah, and
which they don't do.
Yeah, not so much anymore. It's definitely fallen to the wayside. That was the typical way that Lego released things at the time, though. There are unique things about Rock Raiders, don't get me wrong, but it does exist in that larger world that Lego was creating at the time with their unlicensed themes. And then coincidentally, it was released the same year as Lego Star Wars, which was the first licensed theme.
Yeah, Rock Raiders is one of the few franchises where your headcanon is actually true, regardless.
Yeah.
Right.
But
right.
I think that's also interesting because if you look at like the lineup today, I think there's only 2, maybe 3 original like themes right now. I think it's like Lego City, Ninjago, and like maybe like Lego Friends or something like.
Yeah.
Is there any other like original? Because everything else is licensed, and it's a total shift in their like business model, you would say. Because they used to have a ton of original like themes.
Well, another thing I've noticed about Lego City today is that it's just everything is Lego City. Your space sets, your submarine sets, your boats, your buildings and stuff. It's all just branded as City. It all has the same few faces on all of them, and it's not as interesting, I don't think.
Yeah, but to Lego, it's more profitable to slap the Batman logo on that car, because you'll sell more sets because it's a Batman's more well known than just like a random like city set.
Yeah.
They don't really do that now, though. There's like 5 Batman sets out.
Yeah, the Batman's been kind of getting left by the wayside. Maybe they'll slap Spider-Man on it or something.
Yeah, I think to Brendan's point about how it's turned into larger umbrellas for these themes, I've definitely noticed that as well. Whereas in the past you'd have like Divers or you'd have Paradisa, these old themes that were like specific little things that now fall under the City umbrella. I think most recently, when I got back into Lego after being away from it for about 15 years, I came back into it and I purchased a bunch of the sets that came out under the City theme. There were the space sets of that year, I think 2020, and there was a space station and some rockets and stuff like that. I bought a bunch of copies of the space station because it was such a cool set. But one of the things about that was I was really off-put by, okay, it's City, but like this is literally a space station. You know, like this is not a city. This is out in outer space. Why doesn't this have its own theme, right? Why is this under the City umbrella? Why do we have a space theme under City? Like sometimes it just doesn't make sense the way that they release it now, which to me is kind of a con of the way that they're deciding to brand this.
Yeah, I saw that is back in like what was it the 2000s decade. They had the Space Police theme. That was one of our favorite like original Lego themes, and then they discontinued in like 2012 or something. But then they last year in 2021 they brought back 2 minifigures and put them in the CMF, whatever that number CMF was. They had 2 Space Police figures.
That's
and I was
right.
like, it was really cool because like I got both of those figures. I'm like, I loved Space Police back in the day, so I got both those figures. But then I was also just disappointed because that's a sign to me that Lego's like, yeah, we're not actually going to redo the theme, but here's a couple of figures because we needed to fill 2 slots in this CMF series.
Yeah, and the drawback of that, I mean, the space being thrown in with City is it takes away any opportunity for science fiction like they used to have.
Yeah.
Like, so you talked about Space Police. This is something I saw briefly on Slugger's channel that this also kind of turns into a question too, is you're familiar with Mars Mission, right, Slugger?
Mm-hmm. I am.
Do you have any interest in any of those sets? Do you collect them at all? Because I know there was a like build your own adventure that you had bought that was Mars Mission.
Yeah. Now the funny thing about that book there is it predates the Mars Mission theme by about 7 years, so it's not actually related at all to that theme. It just coincidentally has the same name on it. But the Mars Mission theme that you're talking about there, it definitely was around when I was younger. It was kind of towards the start of what I would consider my dark age, though. So far, I've picked up 1 set from the theme. Thought it was all right. I don't have a ton of interest in it because to me it kind of represents the shift from Lego Space being something that could be about peaceful coexistence, which was like your ice planet or your life on Mars, those sorts of themes, into just combat in a box, which was let's kill the aliens, right? So and that to me is just a little less interesting, I think, overall.
Yeah, that makes sense. I only ask because to me I didn't have Life on Mars, which it looks like a great theme, and same deal with what is it, Explorians?
Yeah,
is the one you
Explorians,
did on
yeah.
your stream,
Yeah.
and Ice Planet, and even Rock Raiders is about space exploration.
Yeah.
So to me, Mars Mission is the one that kind of falls into that net, because I didn't have those. That to me was always like the space theme
Right.
that I remember
Yeah.
from when I was younger,
Yeah.
not just like, oh, that's cool, you released a shuttle in the city line.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
that, you know, it's not as cool as like what was the one that I used to have? It had like 6 turbines on the back and then the wings folded in and it was a car.
Oh, yeah. I don't know the name of that set,
like-
but I know the one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I forgot the name.
I don't know the names of any of those sets, but it's like, oh, you know, that was cool. And they still had what makes me think of classic Lego is like a color scheme
Yes.
where it was a lot
Yes.
of white and orange and gray for the astronauts, and then like lime green and dark gray and black for the aliens.
Yeah.
Whereas the Lego space is just kind of like it looks like real life. It's like this is what it looks like in real life. It's not as creative.
Yeah.
I think you can see the shift because especially like this type of sets that you're talking about now, the only like place Lego has them is under the creator line, the creator and ideas line, because I forgot, like less than a year ago they released the space shuttle, and then they did one of the satellites. I think they did one of the telescopes too. I forgot.
Yep.
They're all really cool, but you can see Lego shift because now these are all like $100 plus sets, and they're creator 18 plus. So Lego is slowly like, I don't know if they're understanding it or potentially just capitalizing on the vast market of adults that purchase Lego.
Yeah.
Because you can even see it with Star Wars. Like 5 years ago, it'd be unheard of for an 18 plus Star Wars set. You really didn't have them besides maybe the UCS sets. And now they're releasing like $60 18 plus sets and $100 18 plus sets.
Well, they're making it for adult collectors because
like the helmet series is a great example of that.
Yeah.
They've released nine of them.
And I think part of this loops back to the video you were talking about, not by name, but the fear of missing out about the forest hideout. They want your grown-up money.
Yeah,
they know
they do.
adults are
They
buying
do.
it. And they go, we're gonna sell you this, and we're gonna sell it to you at a price that we know you'll pay.
Yep.
Because you're an adult. You're not a child asking for this. We know you're an adult, and if you want it, you can pay for it with grown-up money.
You know, did you see? Remember when we went to the Lego store last year on August 1st, and we were the giant line? Did you see? I don't know if you picked up on this. There was these 2 old ladies, like in their 70s, and they had giant bags of Lego. Because like at first you think, oh, maybe they're getting it for their grandchildren or something. Nope, they had like these giant bags filled to the brim, and they were there on like the reason I don't think it was they're getting it for their grandchildren is they were there like 8 a.m. opening time to get the new Star Wars sets. I'm like, that's not something that their grandkids gonna know.
Oh, they could be.
I don't know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But it was just these 2 little old ladies. The bags were bigger than they were, and they were just carrying them out
18
the store.
plus.
I do know.
18 plus.
I've met a lot of actually quite a few people through my work that are adults. You know, a lot of them retired, and they do it as a hobby. You know, they buy like the British double-decker bus, or like the London Bridge. Like they have that. They just or the typewriter I've seen. Like they buy them and they have them sitting there in the box because they're just waiting until they get bored and do it. You know.
No, there's a ton of creator and idea sets that I think are awesome and I want to get, but they're also expensive, and it's like I don't have the space or like money to buy all of them. So you have to pick and choose. That's why I bought the Mustang creator one, just because I have a Mustang and I just really, so I had to get that one. But other than that, it's a lot more. You have to be a lot more picky with what you're gonna get out of those lines, because every set is like 100 plus.
Yeah, that you could spend that money on a clone trooper or something, right?
Yeah, you could. I could go buy one Phase 2 Captain Rex for $150.
Yeah, you can buy one clone trooper with that.
Hey, actually,
one.
maybe you guys can explain this to me, because you guys are Lego Star Wars collectors, and I'm not. But can you explain what Phase 1, Phase 2? I hear this referred to with the clones, but yeah.
So Phase 1 is the Attack of the Clones ones with the spike. And then the Phase 2 is the one that looks more like a stormtrooper from Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. So that's referring to the actual costume design, not necessarily.
It's a discrepancy in the Clone Wars TV show where you see it shift, and they announce it that they're changing over to the Phase 2 armor. So that's where it comes from.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
because between episode 2 and 3 in the movies, they don't actually say why the clones all look different. They just needed
to turn into stormtroopers.
Yeah, they're like, well,
Yeah,
they're stormtroopers in episode 4 and they look different in episode 2. So in episode 3, we're just going to kind of mash them together.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Cool.
And they made the coolest looking one.
I think the Phase 2 clones is definitely the coolest out of the 3, but that's where the discrepancy lies. And like it actually has like an effect on the market price because all the Phase 2 ones are worth way more than the Phase 1s.
Yeah, well, because there are less made.
Yeah, because there's not as many.
Yeah, well, while we're getting into that, Slugger, you want to talk about as a classic Lego collector? I kind of mashed those words together. What does the aftermarket look like for you, for your group? Because I've looked into it. I don't want to explain it, but I know it's different.
Yeah, the brilliant thing about collecting themes that other people don't want to collect is because you can get them for very, very cheap. Galador is a great example of this as well too. I know Galador is the action figure kind of line that Lego did back in 2002. And besides like just a couple of figures that are exceedingly rare, most of them you can get for pennies. You can buy them for cheaper than they retailed for back in the day. One of my favorites Galadors,
that's insane.
yeah, I know, right? One of my favorite Galadors I ever got was a Gorm Deluxe sealed in the package. I mean, you can buy sealed Galador, no problem. And I bought it for $10 or whatever, and it still had
Hold on, I'm looking this up.
it still had the
that's
Walmart
insane.
clearance sticker on it for $2 back in 2002. It was on clearance for $2.
Let's see.
No, because
Gorm.
that's the thing with,
Gorm, yeah.
with Star Wars.
You bought a Bionicle.
Yeah, with
Out of all
any
of them, this is the one that looks the most like a Bionicle. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you got it for $10? You got this in the box for $10.
Yeah,
20 years later.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy because if you look at Lego Star Wars, the moment a set retires, it just doubles in price like automatically.
Yeah, you get the instant plus $15.
Yeah. Now, Galador is like an outlier, right? Because it's not very popular, and they made a ton of it. That's one of the things about it is that it launched just after Bionicle hit its stride, and so Bionicle hit the market. It was huge, and then they decided, okay, well, we don't want to run out of stock like we did with Bionicles because that's something that happened there. They just couldn't fill all the orders that were coming in for Bionicle, so they overproduced Galador, and they just produced a ton of inventory, and then it did not sell at all. It basically wormed on shelves for so long, and then they were stuck with a glut of inventory, and they had to discount it and all these other things. And that's why there's so many sets to this day that you can still get of Galador that are even sealed in the box. It's just there was so much made, it's just not retained much value, that's all.
There's probably Lego execs that like were around when Galador was sold that they just gave all the surplus to, and they're selling it aftermarket on everything. They're like, just get it out of the store.
Now, speaking of Bionicle, have you guys seen Bionicle Mask of the Light film?
Oh yes.
No.
You haven't?
Oh yes,
You have
I have.
to.
That's the
So
one with the
dude with the
gold
golden mask, and
yes.
he like gets dropped down. And he has to go fight in like the gladiator pits. I love that movie as a child.
Yeah, Bionicle was cool.
Dude, I love Bionicle. And then they did that weird off-brand Hero Factory one.
What do you, dude? You had like all the Hero Factories.
No, because they weren't selling Bionicle at that time, so I had to buy that one. That's all there was.
You're like that weird off-brand, the knockoff Bionicle.
That's basically
what it is. Then you went and bought
Man, I guess
all
it's
of
not
them.
a knockoff since Lego owns both of them, but
It's just like a continuation.
yeah, continuation.
So I like
Well, that was
to
funny.
poke fun at Bionicle in some of my videos. I'll make egregious claims like Galador is better than Bionicle, that sort of stuff. And I just need to clear the air, and hopefully I can do this a little bit on the podcast, and hopefully enough people will hear this that they'll stop bugging me about it. But I love Bionicle. I don't hate Bionicle. I think a lot of people think I dislike Bionicle, and it's my own fault for propagating that rumor basically. But I love Bionicle, and in 2001 I had all the Toa, I had all the Taraga, I had a few of the Tahunga. I don't think I got all of them there. And moving into the Toa Nuva, I had all them. I had all the Borak. Like I had all of those sets, and I just loved them. I loved them. And it's just the theme went on for so many years. Is basically what it came down to. So when I talk about Bionicle, I'm basically talking about the first 3 years of its existence. That to me was Bionicle for me. And had they just kind of wrapped up the story there or whatever, it would have been great. Nice, perfect theme. But they just kind of dragged it along forever and ever. And then eventually the sets got so unappealing, to me at least, just aesthetically, they don't even look like Bionicle. Some of them don't even have masks anymore. They're just like rubber heads that sit onto the frame, right? It's so
like the
weird.
buildable figures.
Yeah, basically, right?
You got to be careful with Bionicle, because if there's one theme that has more angry fans than Star Wars, it's Bionicle.
Really?
No, dude, the Bionicle fans are
I'm
brutal.
not real familiar with the
They're
Bionicle.
brutal.
It'd be close.
I had
yeah.
two.
You want to be careful.
I had 2 Bionicles when I was younger. I do not remember their names. I'm looking up a picture. I had a green underwater guy that had 2 cannons for arms.
Right, yeah.
He was pretty cool. I don't know if you remember him. I remember him vaguely.
If I saw
Yeah.
a picture,
Because he got ripped to pieces and then thrown in a bin, and I have not seen even his mask since.
I'm trying to remember his name. I think it starts with an M, but I can't recall offhand.
Probably, but I remember he had an interesting feature. It was like these 2 cannon arms. I don't know how else to describe the mechanism, because it wasn't like now. It wasn't like anything like a stud shooter or a spring-loaded shooter. You put these little orange like rubber missiles in it, and it was like
Yeah.
a Gatling gun, and then you press the back and it
Yep.
would shoot them out.
Like air powered,
Well, the
kind
thing-
of like an air pump. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an air cannon that shot these little like rubbery plastic things, and it was the strangest feature. And I wish I could find one of those pieces, because I remember that being one of the Bionicles that you can actually sell for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh,
Speaking
wow.
to Slugger's point about Bionicle being dragged on, I think it was right in tune with Star Wars, because basically it was Star Wars and Bionicle when Lego was going through financial difficulties in the 2000s. Those were the 2 themes that like kept the company afloat, because those themes were like outselling every other theme. Because if I remember correctly, Lego did a lot of themes. They were like trying to like replicate to get another theme, but they would like cancel them very quickly. Like they wouldn't be around for very long in the 2000s, because that's why there's like a lot more themes in the 2000s compared to like the 2010s.
Yeah.
But they don't want to get rid of Bionicle, and Star Wars, the licensing costs a lot more, but Bionicle they don't have to pay licensing fees on. So I think that's why they just kept going with it, like kept stretching
I'm
it
surprised
out.
they've never brought that back. A line that from that 2000s that I don't know if you would remember, the Slugger, because I think it might have been Exoforce.
Oh yeah.
Was like these anime guys in mech suits.
Yep. I had a bunch of those. Yeah.
I had one. I had the jungle one, and it had like, it was a yellow one with like a saw arm. It was an interesting theme actually, and I remember it from when I went to Disney World when I was a kid. I remember buying it there, and for years and years I could not remember the name of the set or the line that it was in or anything. It was just this like one-off weird mech suit.
Yeah.
And that's one of those themes I think that's lost to time now, that like I didn't even remember it.
It's also one of those themes that they could do so much better now, given the modern building techniques. One of the criticisms that's often lobbied towards Exoforce sets is that they were kind of flimsy, or they'd fall apart. But nowadays, with the way that Lego makes things very sturdy, they would be able to kind of solidify that a little bit more, and I think that'd be interesting to see. I think the mech design idea has kind of moved over into the Monkey Kid theme. There's been some pretty cool mechs in that one, as well as in Ninjago as well too. I don't really have any of those sets though, so I can't really speak to them all that much. I've got a single Monkey Kid set. I don't have any Ninjago, but Ninjago basically kind of took over Bionicle's role, where Ninjago's been going for the last 10 years now, over 10 years I think.
Longer than that.
Yeah.
I had a
It's crazy.
theatrically released movie.
I remember watching that show when it released.
Oh,
This
dude, I love
first
that.
season,
I love that show.
in 2011 it started.
Yeah, we gotta find out who the Green Ninja is, bro.
That was the
Who is
second
he?
season. That was season 2.
Yeah, I know.
Because the first
Gotta
one was
figure
about
out who the Green Ninja
the
is.
skeletons. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, let's... All right, for the rest of this, we're going to dive into the lore of Ninjago.
So we
So
know
Cool,
Ninjago.
cool.
So
buckle up,
Indulge me,
Slugger.
indulge me. Yeah.
No, I remember nothing. There was snakes, and then there was skeletons, and then I stopped watching
Actually,
it.
now I think about it, Ninjago might have the worst fan base in terms of if you would attack Ninjago, you're done.
Well, yeah, because it's kids spanning a decade that remember it.
Because I know some YouTubers will trash talk Ninjago, and then all of the comments would be people just like furious at them, like, how dare you diss Ninjago? It's the greatest Lego theme ever.
I hope, I really hope, but I doubt it, but I hope that the people that are on YouTube dissing any theme really have experience with that theme. Like, they own some of those sets and they've built them, because that's one of my greatest pet peeves about this whole, YouTube and I guess like community surrounding Lego, is that there's so much hate for themes that people just don't have any experience with. And like, why lobby an opinion like that when it's so much less valid if you've never built that set before, if you've never owned it, or right?
Well, I know. I think you talked about this in a video, in a channel update or something. I know you didn't say it off the air. I think it was something like a lot of the negative comments you get are people dissing Rock Raiders for having like the big pieces.
Yeah, that sometimes
and they're
happens.
people that have never built a set, like they have never experienced Rock Raiders, and they're just like, that's ugly. It uses big pieces and not 100,000 1x1s to build that.
Yeah, there's a limit to how valid criticism like that really is, I think, and it kind of extends to the point where you can say the set looks unappealing, right? Like, visually I'm not really liking it, or the aesthetics aren't that great, or the color scheme doesn't really jive with me, or whatever, or it's ugly, right? You can say those sorts of things, and that's fine. But if you take that the next step and say, well, the set is bad, like, look how terrible the set is, the whole theme is terrible, right? And you have never held any of these sets in your hands, you've never built them, right? Like, that to me is like, now we're just making it up. Like, you don't know what you're talking about at that point, right? So yeah. A lot of the hate for these themes comes from that sort of place, especially with Galador, and that's the big one that always gets targeted by, it's always the butt of jokes for Lego fans. And for me it was too, until I bought the sets and then realized how great the theme is. Like, they are quality parts. Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm on a crusade here just trying to convince people, like, hey, Galador, give Galador a chance. Like, those pieces hold up today, higher quality parts than Bionicle, easily.
I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea what Galador was till your video.
Yeah, me neither.
Never heard of it.
And I've noticed in if it ever gets brought up on a live stream, or you bring it up in a video that's not like about Galador, it's like immediately like turning on the defensive. You're like, no, it's really not bad, guys. I promise. I swear, it's actually good. Try it.
Yeah.
Well, I think this kind of leads into a larger like problem with the Lego community on YouTube, is that most of these channels are not built around like, a love of Lego. It's just like, yo guys, here's the new rumor list of the new sets that are coming in the new wave.
Yeah, here's
and
the
half
rumors.
the time they're just wrong. It's like not even true. Like, they're like, this guy on Instagram DM'd me this list. I don't know if it's accurate, but I'm gonna go through it anyway.
Okay, so what you're talking about is the Star Wars community that we're in, because that's the only one that gets leaked, because they
that's the biggest community. They never
give us the sets that we want, so everybody is constantly watching for leaks, and people just make stuff up. And once in a while you'll see one that's like, oh yeah, also we're getting a new Batmobile. And that's the only one that's true, because it's like, oh yeah, they make like one Batman set every few years, and all the rest are Star Wars and Harry Potter.
No, but like, Lego Star Wars is by far the largest Lego community anywhere, and it's just full of so many like people that just like, it's a very toxic community compared. Not like the whole community is that way, but I would say comparatively, to some of these other.
Well, and that's honestly that's part of the reason that I'm so thankful to have now been indoctrinated into Slugger's Rock Raider community, because it's like, these people don't hate each other.
We've joined the cult of Slugger.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, you don't all hate the sets that you're buying? Not like we do.
No, because every single Star Wars review is like, yeah, the set's good, but here's 10 things I hate about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't even get me started on the top. Slugger, I don't know if you know this. They finally gave us Commander Cody.
Right. I heard about that.
And the YouTuber made a video on it, and it was the ATTE, which they released like 7 years ago last. And he makes a video, and the title was, "It's not that bad. 10 reasons why it sucks." And I'm like, stop poking at them. They finally gave us something we wanted. Like, why are you still talking about how it's bad?
You can criticize the sets, but it's like when most of your videos are just like, here's all the things. Like, yeah, does Lego as a company suck a lot? Yeah, they do, but it's just, if you're just constantly surrounded by negativity, it's like, it doesn't make me excited to go buy the new sets, because it's like, well, all I've heard is terrible things about them.
Yeah, well, and going back to the classic Lego, the stuff that Slugger does a lot, like whenever he has a grievance about a set that I've noticed, well, I don't know, I'm talking about you like you're not here now. Your grievance with the set, you'll be like, yeah, it's a bummer this didn't come with like a boulder for them to break open, but otherwise it's perfect. It's like they didn't include the 3 pieces of like a boulder and an energy crystal, and that's like the only complaint you'll have.
No, but with
You're
the
like,
Star
yeah, it's
Wars
good.
set,
I want
it's like they're missing this one thing. It's a 5 out of 10 now.
I want to extrapolate on that point a bit here too, because I've noticed this with the Lego Star Wars community at large. Maybe not like, I know there's going to be exceptions to every rule. You can't just label an entire crowd with one thing. We're made up of individuals. I get that, but a lot of the larger content creators for Lego Star Wars, they just seem to not acknowledge the fact that you can take it apart and change it, right? It's a toy that you can do that with. And it's one of the things I try to feature in my videos as well, too. I usually will have a set modifications part where I recommend this is what I did when I modified it, because it's a toy that you can take apart and change things around with. And I just don't see a lot of people taking advantage of that with Lego Star Wars. It seems like they can only accept the way that it was shipped to them out of the box, and that's the only way that they're going to build it. And they're going to have an issue with the set, and they're just going to leave it in, like, they're not going to change it. But you have the capability to do that. It's really easy to do that. It's not rocket science. You don't have to rip it apart. You don't need a screwdriver. The bricks interlock with each other,
I want to be careful, Slugger. We have one of those people in our presence right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm okay. So Slugger, I'll come out and admit it.
All right.
I am like an extreme purist. Well, because when it comes to the Star Wars stuff, because I want it to be like faithful. I want it to be a faithful recreation of what we saw on the screen, because that's the thing I love. The only thing that drove me to change a set was an AAT, the droid tank from Phantom Menace. Mm-hmm. That is the only one I changed because it was so wrong, because the gun on top of the tank was like twice as long as the body, and it was ridiculous. Everything else, though, I'm very... Sheep like me don't have the brain power to change it. I'm like, how can I make it better? I've noticed your modifications. The one I liked most was the tunnel transport, how you just reworked the entire set.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it looks kind of bad on its own, so I just made it different.
Yeah, that was a bit more of an overhaul. Part. Yeah, I don't know. And I've since come around on that set quite a bit, and I think part of it was because I just hadn't had the experience with the original set all that much at that point. But when I made that video, it was within like the first, I want to say, like 4 months I had that set. I'd never had that set when I was younger. So to me, getting that one out of the box and building it, I was like, it's not great. I think it could be better. And then going back and doing the photography with it, actually producing the episode, over the course of producing it, I fell more in love with the original design. So I don't necessarily stand by all the modifications. I think they're good, but I also think the original's still good. So I don't know, a little bit of both in that one.
I think that's what separates Lego Star Wars in particular, because it is based off of pre-existing content that a lot of people don't want to change the things. They're like, I don't want to modify it unless Lego gets it that wrong that it doesn't faithfully go to like the films or the TV shows.
That's true.
Unlike Rock Raiders, where there's really nothing else to base it off of, because
right.
it's an original Lego theme. So
yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at there,
different.
AJ, as well too, is that there's things about the Lego Star Wars sets that obviously Lego is going to get wrong in recreating it faithfully from the original source material. And yet I don't see those sort of modifications being recommended in a lot of reviews for the sets. I just see a lot of stuff saying like, hey, this looks bad, right? Or here's the top 10
they're
reasons.
too busy complaining about it.
Yeah,
it's easy to complain about it. You're right. Yeah.
I know me and AJ have the same person in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
No name dropping.
Who was asked to come on this podcast. So if he wants to come on after he sees this, we asked him at one point or another, because he made a video saying he would go on a podcast. And I've just grown to, his videos they drive me insane now, because every time, like, he did the ATTE and what's wrong with it. Right. He was complaining about like the box. He's like, the line on the box is not the right color. And I was like, it is a toy. I was like, it is a toy that says ages 7 and up, and you're complaining about the picture on the box.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and they won't change it. They're like, no, I'm not going to change it because Lego should have just made it better.
Right.
Well, to be fair, that is Lego's motto.
Well,
like
well, that's the
nothing but the best is good enough.
yeah.
Or
That's
whatever.
what he always throws at. He's like, oh, nothing but the best, even though it doesn't look absolutely perfect, just like the way it was animated in Attack of the Clones. It's like, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like don't
know.
buy it.
Again, I don't think there's an issue with these creators criticizing Lego. Lego absolutely deserves every ounce of criticism they get because they, especially in the past 5 years, have decided that they care a lot more about profits than the consumer. But that doesn't mean you have to pinpoint every little tiny thing they get. So criticize their business, like Slugger's video, like when they put the hideout as behind the $160 payout. That's just ridiculous. Like that's like there's no, you can't defend Lego in that instance.
Especially when they're releasing other 90th anniversary sets
that are not
separately
on the
behind
shelves.
paywall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
like the space. I don't know if you've seen it, but the Space Explorer
Oh
ship.
yeah.
You can buy for $100,
Yep.
and you get it, and you just get the recreation of the original set.
Yeah.
But
That's-
and they not only that, they didn't release the Woodland Hideout alongside that on August 1st.
Yeah.
You won't even release all the classic Lego at once. It's like
Yeah.
now you got to go and like you did, you bought like a bunch of sets that
Yep.
you really weren't that interested in. It
Yeah.
sounded like you're like,
Yeah.
I just bought them because I wanted to get this one.
Actually, yeah. Let me weigh in on that too because I thought I had made it more clear in the video, but I got a lot of comments of people saying that like Slugger, why did you buy all these sets? It sounds like you don't even want them. And I think the line I used was like they're not going to sit and collect dust in the closet, which implies I'm going to build them. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to build them. They're going to be used in videos. So they were all ones that were on my radar, but maybe not ones that I was going to pick up immediately, or you know what I mean? Like it wasn't that I had my arm twisted to buy sets I didn't want. There were sets I did kind of want, but at the same time, maybe some of them I would have passed up, and it wouldn't have been that bad. It was just that fear of missing out, and I think there was some rightful criticism lobbied towards myself in the comment section of that video. Some people were rightfully pointing out maybe the hypocrisy behind buying into the whole problem instead of staying away from it. In my own defense, though, I'd say I think there's a bit of nuance there. It's not a black and white thing, like either you buy into it or you don't. I think there is room for discussion, saying like, hey, it's not a good system that we have right now. I still want the set, right? And I want to get the set. I don't want to pay twice its value on the aftermarket, or even more apparently now. And I've got there are these other sets I do want from Lego, so I'll pick those up. But hey, I'm not happy about this, and I just want to point out like, hey, this is a problem. And the other thing about that whole review, actually, that whole video, the fear of missing out from start to finish, I produced the entire video in 17 hours, including sleeping in between. So there's an 8-hour sleep in between.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So right from the start to the end, because I had to. They were going to retire the set in 6 days. I wanted people to get a chance to like see that, hey, this is out here, and if you want it, you've got to hurry if you're gonna get it. But consider what's at play here. This is the fear of missing out, and I've had since a lot of comments on the video of people saying like, I missed it, and I'm like, that sucks. Like they didn't see the video in time, they didn't know about it, and it's just it's a thing.
Well, I remember, Slugger, I saw your video on that like a day after it came out, I think.
Yep.
And at that point, you had released that, I want to say, like a day after it was available, because it was available for a week, and when you released the video, it was like 6 days, and I was like, oh, so if I want this, I have basically 4, because I watched it the evening the day after it came out, so really like more like 30 hours after it came out, probably. And I was like, so I have I have the next 4 days to go fork $150 over to Lego if I want this.
Yeah, while supplies last.
And there aren't really any sets I even want.
Yeah, it was such a shame, and it's not like I get pre-release copies or anything. I don't have any trade agreement with Lego or whatever, where you get those or ambassador program or whatever. I've got no interest in any of that sort of stuff. So I went out and I bought the set. I didn't buy the set to make the video. I built the set and I enjoyed it, but I was still kind of hurt with the way that they had chosen to release it. And it was from that kind of experience that then the script was being formed in my head, and I had to, write it all down as fast as I could, go to work, of course, do my job, and then sleep, and then come home and finish the video, and then wake up in the morning, finish the video, and then release it, right? So it was kind of a go sort of situation, and I was kind of resentful for the fact that I couldn't spend some time actually talking about the set and go into detail and talk about modifications and all this sort of stuff because of the way LEGO chose to release that set.
Yeah, and I remember when, with that video and talking about what we were with the criticism other YouTubers give LEGO, your criticism of it, I feel, was much more reasonable. Just that, like, you weren't like, it's bad that they're doing this. You're like, it's more that it's unfair. And the way you talked about it wasn't like crying on camera, like screaming at LEGO that you're angry that they did it. I like the way you opened it, because I remember it was with sarcasm, because I saw it and I was like, oh, that's awesome that they're making this. And your video was like, and it's available now in Canada for $24.99. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, they did something good. And he's like, just kidding. You have 6 days to spend $150 to buy it. And I was like, oh, it's like that does suck.
Yeah.
The way you framed it and the reference the context that you gave it made it make more sense that it's why it's not reasonable for them to be doing this.
Fair. Yeah, thank you.
It wasn't just angry words. You weren't just like, LEGO bad for doing this.
Yeah.
Well, with any, when you're criticizing a giant corporation, you can yell at them all they want. They don't care. You have to
right.
pick and choose what you're gonna say, and you just crying about like the little modifications you don't like on the set. Like, I mean, you already bought it, so LEGO's laughing at you,
so they don't
basically.
care.
And
whereas to you, it seemed like you spun it more towards the public to be angry about it than personally just why I'm angry. It's here's why everybody should be upset that they're doing this.
And the type of things that LEGO does that are like more egregious, because like people were asking for the LEGO 501st, the blue clone troopers, for like many years.
Don't even start with egregious. I bought the General Grievous Starfighter at retail price for $80 for 489 pieces, and it sits there on my shelf every day, and I look at it and I go, wow. I'm so happy I bought this. Every day it brings so much joy to look at that set and go, I am so happy they made this $80.
No, but like when LEGO, because they finally gave fans the 501st battle pack they wanted, but like it's since it's LEGO, there's always a catch. So they're like, well, normally we do the $15 battle packs with the 4 clone troopers. Now we're gonna double it to $30, add in 2 more droids and a speeder, so now it's a $30 set. Because they know everyone was going to buy it anyway. Yeah. So, like, now it's a $30 set, even though it should have just been the $15. Like, people only want the clone troopers. Yeah. They doubled the price. And then on Lego.com, they're like, actually, we don't want you to buy it, so we're going to put it
at the back of the catalog.
If you click on, like, it's like the organize it, and like, if you click on sets, it's not going to show up. Not there.
Yeah, they tried to make it disappear. Well, and that's...
And they put it at the bottom. Like, if you had to scroll to, like, page 4 on LEGO Star Wars to even see it, and it's the most popular LEGO set of all time.
That must have been to control inventory. Like, they must have been just overwhelmed with orders then at that point.
Maybe, but this was, like, months after the set
This was, like,
released.
a year after it
This
came
was, like,
out.
a while after it released.
Weird.
I think that grievance you listed ties in a lot to Slugger's, which was it's expensive because they know people will buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like the Woodland Hideout, it's something they do, and it's not okay.
But I feel like those are way more valid criticisms of LEGO than just the color on the box is wrong.
It's bad. There's no hip printing.
Like,
I'm not buying it.
I get it. When you're paying a premium, like, you expect there to be a certain level. This is why I think it's a little worse on Gunship when they got the logo wrong, because it's like, well, or even like when they didn't put the. They didn't put a clone pilot. They just did a yellow clone. They're like, that counts, right?
Yeah,
none of you know the difference, right?
Yeah, the 18-plus fans that are paying $350 will never know the difference.
But that's why it's more egregious, because it's like, this is a $350 set that only hardcore fans are going to buy.
Yeah.
Do you really think they're not going to notice when you just threw in a yellow clone and are like, it doubles. It doubles as both.
Well,
come on, guys.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point to wrap up our list of grievances. We just spent like 20 minutes ripping on LEGO. We should probably get back on track, I think. I'm not trying to cut anyone's thoughts off. I'm just trying to redirect us back into a more a more positive direction. I know that you're a big Rock Raiders fan.
Yeah.
Are there any themes that you haven't mentioned on your channel or shown that that you collect, like just in private, to not make videos about them just because you like them?
Oh, that's a great question. Anything that I usually acquire or collect it. Usually, I'm thinking of making a video about it. But you know what? There is a theme I can talk about here. 2001, I think was the year. I think it was 2001. Lego started releasing Harry Potter sets, and I'm not a huge Harry Potter nerd or fan. I've seen a few of the films, I've read a couple of the books, but I really, really love the first wave, the first year that they did these Harry Potter sets, because they are so unique for a licensed theme. What ended up happening is that Lego, they make their sets, and they develop sets over the course of many years. It's not something that just happens like with the drop of a hat. So with the first wave of Harry Potter, the film wasn't out yet. The film wasn't even done editing yet. They weren't even into post-production by the time Lego started making and developing these sets. So these sets are based on the book. They're based on the novelization, not on the movie. And that leads to some really interesting interpretations on, like, oh, this is what Hogwarts looks like, or this is what the room, Gryffindor room looks like, and all the decisions that were being made there are just so intriguing, and that to me is much more interesting as a collector than just a recreation of what we saw in a movie, because I can go watch the movie, I can see it in the movie, that's fine, right? But having that extra layer to it, I think, is really neat. And so for the first film, that first wave from 2001, I've got all the sets, and I don't know if I'll ever do a video on them or not. Like, I feel like I should, because I'm almost obligated to. If you have a collection like that, you probably should put it in a video at some point. And Harry Potter has popped up in a couple of shots in a couple of videos. It's not something I've really put a big spotlight on. And I don't know if I have a whole lot more to say about it, other than it's really interesting, I think.
No, definitely, because actually this is something that Lego still kind of does today, in that, especially for the Star Wars TV shows, Lego starts making the sets usually before the TV shows are done.
That's right.
Even edited. So they did this with The Mandalorian, where it's like, it's always, so the sets are always from the first 2 or 3 episodes, because the other, like, episodes 6 to 8 or 10 are not filmed, or they're not done, so Lego doesn't know what to do for those sets. So the sets are always earlier, and sometimes you'll have little details that'll be different because Lego's just going off whatever description Disney gives them, and they're not.
Yeah.
It's not like the show is not out. Like, Lego designers can't base it off of the show, because it's not out yet. So they have to do it based on whatever Disney provides them, which oftentimes is a little different. It's not like it's a book. It's not as different as the book, because then it's like completely to your interpretation. Like, Disney will probably send them photos and stuff to base it off of, but that's why a lot of times you'll see Star Wars sets, and I'm sure it applies to other mostly TV show themes.
Yeah, you guys will probably know better than I will, but I thought there was a set from The Last Jedi that, like, didn't end up even in the film, and it was like a little walker that had a bunch of little legs on it.
The crab walker with 8 legs.
Yeah, I thought that was in the film. That's actually,
it's not in the movie.
Is it not? But I think that's the most universally hated Lego set in existence, because of how ugly it is.
That's not true.
What do you think would be more
interesting? Yeah, I'm actually kind of intrigued by that one.
Because
I can see myself.
I've never seen a set where just, I mean, the people hate the clone pack for a different reason, not because the pack itself is like, oh, bad. They hate the set because it's just it's like you're getting a walker but without the head of the walker, so it feels
that's
like
not
a
what I'm
waste of
talking
money.
about. That's in the movie. I'm talking about the little walker with 8 legs that crawls around like a crab. Sorry, what were you saying, Slugger?
No, I'm referring to the same one as well too. And that little walker with the little 8 legs, I could see myself buying something like that, just because I think that's neat that it was based on early concept art and that didn't end up in the final film. That's a neat little oddity, and hopefully it's shunned enough by the Lego Star Wars community that it'll drive down the price a bit. So
No. Well, actually, that might
no.
drive up the price. But I was referring to the
they're always
headless
expensive.
ATS.
No, that one's just bad.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
That's why I think that one's the most hated
Yes,
set.
that's
But
true.
I do have a
No,
question for
the crab
Slugger.
walker's just weird.
I actually like the design of the crab walker.
Yeah,
I
but-
don't.
Yeah.
No,
I'm into the
it's
crab
kind of
walker.
unique. There's nothing
It's
else in Star
unique.
Wars like
okay,
it.
that's true, but like it's weird because it's just kind of a box, and the legs aren't actual legs; they're just on wheels and rotate.
I'll give him credit
Yeah.
for doing something original. But I do want to ask, because we haven't really gotten Slugger's thoughts on Lego Star Wars as a whole yet. We've just been talking about the criticisms that other YouTubers do.
That's true. Well, that's yeah. We like to give glancing blows, especially because because you're not a collector Slugger.
Right.
You know, it's something I'm trying to kind of stray away from a little bit because I'd rather talk about something that you know and not something that you're not familiar with. But I do know from a conversation that you bought the original ATST.
Yeah, I've got it in my hands right now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
I'm always curious because Star Wars takes up such a large presence in the Lego community and the Lego world. I always wondered how non-Star Wars collectors view it, because I don't know. It's just interesting to think about, like, because we are so obsessed with Lego Star Wars that we don't necessarily think about the other themes as much. But if you are a collector of another theme, like, how do you feel about Lego Star Wars? Because it does take up a lot of
Basically gets its own.
It takes up a lot of, like, screen time, if you will. If you're going
Yeah.
on YouTube or you're on Lego.com, you're always going to see Star Wars. So
Yeah.
Actually, I've noticed the contrary. They don't show a lot of Lego Star Wars on YouTube because the fans know where to find it.
true. But I'm still curious how someone who's not a Star Wars collector feels about this theme.
That's a good question.
So I can only speak for myself. But I think you folks are crazy. So
yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely insane to be paying the sort of prices for the what you're getting. I don't get it, and especially from like buying older sets as well too. Like when, or the minifigures, man, the minifigures. I lose my mind at how expensive Star Wars minifigures are. I've got a ton of Star Wars minifigures from all the Lego Star Wars that I collected growing up, and I probably have a small fortune just sitting here because, like, okay, I've got the first Jabba the Hutt, and then I've got a million Boba Fetts.
You have the first Jabba the Hutt?
Exactly.
That's
and,
worth.
and they're just sitting around in containers and
money.
whatnot. Yeah, it's Slave Leia, right? You know, this is like a college fund right here. And why did this happen? Right? Like, why did this happen? Is where I'm kind of at, and I guess it must just be the volume of people that want this sort of stuff. I don't think it helps that there are, YouTube personalities that sensationalize Lego Star Wars to a degree. I think they're part of the problem of stirring the pot and making it more collectible. This idea that every new Lego Star Wars set needs to have exclusive figures in it, it's so anti-consumer. I just don't understand how Lego Star Wars fans grovel to that. Like, they want that. They want these new exclusive figures. Why not? Why is it a bad thing that the clone pilot or the clone commander is included in a little $5 set? Why is that a bad thing? I don't get it. I don't understand. And I think it really comes down to this fact that, like, when you have something exclusive like that, if you're an awful person, I want to say, if you have something exclusive like that, you don't want other people to have it because it devalues yours, and you're thinking of it as a monetary investment, but it's a toy. It's a plaything, right? It's supposed to be fun. It's a good thing if everybody has them. If I can relate it back to Rock Raiders, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but if I can relate it back to Rock Raiders, the figure Chief is the big one. The leader of the Rock Raiders only came out in one little set that wasn't available on store shelves. You had to either call into the Lego store or you had to go to a Lego kiosk or go to Legoland or something like that to buy him. Nowadays, he's hundreds of dollars to buy. And I want there to be more of them out there, even though I have one. And my figure is now worth more monetarily because no one else, it's such a rare figure, but I want collectors to have them. I want my figure to be worth $2. Like, I really do. I don't want it to be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I wish more collectors were like that, because I think that would make the scene a lot better for other people, right? Not just thinking about ourselves and, like, I got to get ahead, that sort of thing.
I like the way you referred to that. Why do we grovel?
Yeah, that's fair.
To that level. So referring to what you said about how the figures get so expensive and how Chief is the only real expensive Rock Raiders figure.
Mm-hmm.
I bumped into a an Instagram creator that collects misprinted figures.
Right.
And I had a misprint because I hate misprints. I don't want them, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you collect them. I'll give you this misprinted Stormtrooper for like a couple, like I'll give it to you for like the cost of shipping because I just don't really care about it and you seem to value them. And they were like kind of like being a dick about it. They're like, no, I can't even barely tell. I'm not paying for that. And I was like, I'm literally just trying to give it to you. Like, I'm not saying give me $50. Like, I'm just saying, do you want it? Like, that's all I'm asking.
Well,
and they posted these pictures of I'm sure you've heard of the figure, even if you haven't seen the show. The Phase 2 Captain Rex.
Okay.
Who came out once in a Walmart exclusive, and retails for anywhere from like in new condition like $150, $200, $250.
Crazy.
And in a picture they posted, they had 17, 18 of these figures on a shelf. They had new boxes containing it because they were like still hunting for that misprint. And I was like, sell them cheap.
Yeah.
Like, you have so many of
Yeah.
them. Sell them cheap. They'll be gone. I'll be sad that I didn't get one, but at least more people can have them. Like, why do you have so many on your shelf? Because you want one that's printed wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you could sell all of these. You could make a ton of money if you're a bad person, but you could also just give them away because you don't collect them.
Yeah, even
like,
if you did like half price, it would still be like, even if you sold them for like $50, you'd be making a nice chunk of change, and people would be saving a lot of money.
The Django Fett I have has gone up to like $70.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I think
I'm like, wow, he's a pretty cool figure, but like I wouldn't pay.
I think
paid
this
like
was
$60
this is
for
an
the whole
interesting
set.
thing, the Lego aftermarket, especially with Star Wars. I remember a few years back, whenever they had the original UCS Millennium Falcon,
Yes.
they had, whenever that late 2000s, and then it retired in like 2013, 2014, the original one. And then all of these like major news outlets like NBC, ABC, like CBS, they all did these stories in 2014, 2015 because the aftermarket price of the set had almost like tripled. And it was like thousands and thousands of dollars when the set sold for like $800, which isn't cheap, but now it was worth like $4,000.
No, it wasn't. It retailed for like $400.
Oh yeah, right, sorry. The new one is $800.
The new one is
It was originally $400. Now this was like $2,000 to $3,000. And all of these like, none of these like mainstream media outlets could grasp the fact that this Lego toy had quadrupled in value, or like quintupled in value, because they saw it as a toy. Like, who's buying it? Because a lot of people treat, especially today, like they treat it like it's a stock.
Yeah,
like
it's
they
like
buy up
investing.
as many as they can, wait for it to retire, and they mass market
Yeah,
it.
it's like scalping.
I mean, here, I'll give you an example. Right now, I looked up on eBay. If you just look up Lego Star Wars, the very first thing that shows up is the Republic fighter tank. You can still buy it on Lego store shelves for $40. Right now, it's $80 on eBay.
Yep.
$80, doubled the price, and it's still on Lego store shelves. I could go and buy 2 of them for the price of this one on eBay.
That's crazy.
It doesn't make sense.
They scalp them. They're just scalping them.
He's scalping it, and it's
you-
still like widely available. Why?
Okay, if you want to talk about our aftermarket, because you're the one that brought the wrath of Darth Slugger on us with this, and he had to tell us about why we grovel to this level.
This
Slugger,
is why I don't
you're-
buy aftermarket sets.
Slugger, you're familiar with the Republic gunship from Attack of the Clones?
Yes.
Buying one, the toy one, not the big collector's UCS one on a stand, the toy.
Right.
The one that you play with a carry handle. Buying it in the box is like anywhere from like $600 to $800.
That's crazy.
New.
Give or
Like
take.
new in the box, give or take. Whereas
is that
the
like,
one
like
that
the 2002 version, is that the one like you talked
no,
about?
that's the
or-
2013-14.
Oh my goodness.
The 2002 one retails for more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The 2002 one is like impossible.
And
to
also,
get.
the 2002 one opens up, and that's when Lego was more experimental. Because, like, obviously the real gunship doesn't do that. It doesn't open up into
How
a
do you
command
know?
center.
Just 'cause
and
you don't see it happen
We've
doesn't
never
mean you
seen
don't
it
know.
happen, but it just showed like back then Lego was willing to like change things of like canon just because they thought it'd be cool and it'd be a cool play feature.
I don't think it's changed things because I don't know if you could hear in his voice, but he put up air quotes, and I'll use the same air quotes. I think it's just gave a shit about the consumers and added quote value to the set because it's for kids. So
He
it
was
was
doing
like,
quotation
look,
marks
look,
for all
there's
the
more.
audio
Yeah, it's like,
listeners.
you can
everyone.
actually play with this. There's more stuff you can do rather than just swoosh it around.
The swooshability is the most important factor in any Lego set, though.
That's true. You have to be able to swoosh
If
it.
it's not a 10 out of 10 swooshability, I don't want it.
Well, yeah, Slugger, on your live stream, I heard you say the only thing you do with them is you swoosh them at the cats. That's important.
What else are Lego sets good for except flying in the air?
Yeah, you just swoosh them. I mean, well, because we're adults now. You have to swoosh them once in a while.
I don't play with it. I just swoosh it.
Yeah, you have to make sure it's functional, so you
Exactly.
swoosh it.
Yeah.
It's
I was
just
doing that the other day with the Bad Batch shell.
yeah,
Just
it's
swoosh.
it's like a routine checkup. Just you go over to the shelf, you pick one up, you swoosh it. You're like,
You're like,
all
all
right,
right, still works.
still works.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know,
funny.
I don't know what the solution is for Lego Star Wars fans.
There's no
it's
solution.
just-
It's just
gonna come down to,
pain. It's just
like,
pain.
Like stop buying them, I guess. I don't know. Like is that a good
Well,
answer?
Star
to
Wars
it,
is
though?
too big. There's always going to be someone to buy.
So
it.
you have two options, and it's stop buying them, and Lego will produce less, and the value will increase more.
Right.
Or stop producing them, and the value will go through the roof on every single set because it'll never get remade because they discontinue it. So there's
Yeah.
no good option. You just kind of have to let it ride and hope people forget about
This is
Star
the very
Wars.
reason Lego bought Bricklink. They saw how valuable the aftermarket was becoming. They're
Yeah.
like, all right, guess what? We want to be in control of it.
Okay, this seems to me like becoming a monopoly because now you own the production,
Right. Yeah.
the sales, and the aftermarketing
Yeah.
of your entire brand.
Lego's about to buy eBay next.
I
That'd be funny.
I always have to bring it up with people when we get into these discussions that Lego owns Bricklink, right? So when we talk about Lego as a whole, we have to include Bricklink into that discussion.
I feel like that goes way under the radar, though. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't say on Bricklink that it's owned by Lego.
No, it's
Precisely.
shady.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like, you'd have to go into like the really like fine details. You'd be like, yeah, Lego actually owns it, but it doesn't say it on the site. If you just go to the home page.
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, I have a funny story. Remember? All right, so I was in this place in New Jersey. It's called Wildwood. So it's like a pier on the Atlantic Ocean, and there's like a bunch of amusement parks on it, kind of like a pier amusement park. You know that like type of thing, Slugger,
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
like it's a pier amusement park, and then it has a bunch of shops on it. So I just
Yeah.
walked into a random toy shop, and then they have like in the glass at the cash register, they have like all of these super rare Lego figures, and they all say $5 on it. And I'm like, that's fishy. Something doesn't seem right. You know what I see? I don't know if Slugger's familiar with this, but I saw the Cloud City Boba Fett from like the 2002
Yep.
or whatever they released, 2005.
he knows.
Yep.
And but it has the arm printing, and it says $5.
Yep.
I'm like, that is not correct. There's
Yeah.
no
There's
no
way.
way.
There's no
that
way.
is $5. I'm like, something's wrong. So I talked to the dude. I'm like, I'm like, why is it $5? And he's like, yeah, they're all fake. I'm
Yeah,
like,
they're all
oh.
fake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where'd you get all these? Like China.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was actually just Lepin.
that's Lepin. Yeah, that's
But I was like, was the thing from like just looking at it, I couldn't tell the difference. Like, it doesn't look like it's fake, but they're selling them for $5, which immediately sent alarm bells in my brain because I'm like, if that was real, that would say like $500 on it.
Right.
You know,
'Cause
Yeah.
I think that's probably the rarest
yeah, it is.
Lego Star
That's
Wars
the,
figure.
That's the hardest.
Besides
one
like
to
the golden ones, they only sell like
Yeah.
20 of at like conventions.
buy. You mean they give them out to like the
Yeah,
the
besides
people
like
that win them?
convention ones that are like coming packed.
I'm-
Right.
I-
For
I
retail
wonder
figures.
now-
Yeah.
Those are like thousands
Yeah.
of dollars.
Oh yeah.
Those
Now,
are like
Slugger, because you fall into the category of not Star Wars, you don't grovel like we do. Do any of the themes you collect, do they have like really shitty like aftermarket fake figures and stuff? Like, do you ever see those? Is there like fake Rock Raiders out there? Because Star Wars is like way overflowing with it.
That's
like when I buy
crazy.
an aftermarket
Wow.
figure, I have to check and make sure it's genuine. Because I'm like, I
That's
hope I didn't get a
crazy.
fake.
No,
Is there-
as far as I know, no. But there's always the potential, and Chief is the character. I know I talked about him earlier. He's the one that if there is gonna be a fake out there eventually, like he's the one that would be faked, just because there is a purchase history of him being very expensive. But it is such a niche market. I don't actually know if he'll ever be faked like that or not.
Yeah. Okay. I only wonder because like in our side of the community, the dark side.
Yeah.
Where we all grovel to the lowest level and beg. We go, please give us a good figure so we can buy it in a $200 set.
Well, this year was the first time in like what 6 years on May the 4th we actually got a figure as the
first
thing.
time.
But it was Aunt Beru in the set.
It
wasn't even just the figure. They had to give you the whole. They gave you this whole set
Yeah,
instead of spending $40. You got to spend 160 to get it.
Aunt Beru, and it came with a kitchen.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
What was I saying? I was missing it. Oh, we get these. I mean, I get ads for it on Instagram. It's insane. These fake figures that like it's like
the custom.
It's like a clone trooper with like a AK-47, and like it's like.
They always
it's
look so
obviously
bad,
fake,
too.
but they like are pushing them. They're like, "Ooh, look, you can buy the whole Jedi army for $48," and I'm like, "Oh wow." Oh, what character is that? I've never seen him.
Oh, they make up a bunch of like random clones that don't exist.
They just make them up.
Jedi Bob.
There's only one reputable clone custom.
So what'd you buy?
Oh, sorry. I said Jedi Bob.
What do you have Jedi Bob?
No, I do not. But I wish I did. He's a cool character.
Well, because I love how Lego did. This is one more scummy thing Lego does when they're like, oh yeah, what figures do you want in the UCS gunship? Every single person put Commander Cody and Jedi Bob, and they're like, that's cool. Here's Mace Windu and a yellow clone.
That's cool. They're not in the movie though, so you don't get them.
But
thank you for voting.
It was like, why put that question there if
Yeah.
you're just going to ignore it? What's the point?
Yeah, it's pretty great. But it's nice now to start to learn that there's more to the community. That there's people that don't hate what they buy.
Yeah. You should come join the light side here. Get into
side,
time cruisers, Spyrius maybe, Explorians. There's so many great science fiction themes that came out before Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're really gonna have to work the wrench if you're gonna throw Galador in there, because I'm still not sure if I'm sold on buying one of those.
I'm gonna need a little more convincing, but I have to bring this up. There's only one Lego theme. Yeah, there's one Lego theme where I own every single set of that Lego theme. Do you want to guess what it is?
Ooh.
No, what?
All right.
There's a theme where you own every set?
Lego Dino from 2012. I own all 8 sets,
Dino?
all 8. Even the exclusive Walmart propeller plane one that was super hard to find.
Yeah, well that's gone now because they own the rights to Jurassic World.
Yeah, I know, and it's part of me is looking at these Jurassic Park sets. I'm like, the Lego Dino ones are cooler. Like when Lego's
it's not even cooler. It's just the Lego Dino is the same with a different color scheme and different figures.
I guess, but
and it was half the price.
It has one of the most unique weapons because it's the gray blaster, but it has a little thing on the top for you to put the syringe on. Because the whole point is trying to put the dinos to sleep.
It's a tranquilizer.
Yeah,
gun.
Tranquilizer.
Don't say put them to sleep. That sounds like put down.
No, you know what I mean. But and for whatever reason, I just really like that theme. And then I'll be looking at the Jurassic World ones. I'm just like, there's not. I don't know. It just doesn't do it.
Yeah, it's the same, but realism is
worse.
added. Because instead of a bunch of faceless dino catching poachers, I assume you get Chris Pratt.
Right.
You just get Chris Pratt in Lego.
Yeah,
didn't he voice Emmett too?
Yeah, he has 3
movie.
Lego figures.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the Lego movie, Slugger?
Do you like the Lego movie? That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. I saw the Lego movie in theaters when it first came out. I went with some of my university friends, and we went and watched it there. We were some of the only adults in the theater. The rest is all kids or whatnot. And my favorite memory of watching the Lego movie for the first time. There's a scene in the movie where I can't remember, the Lord Business and the robots, they attack the Magic Kingdom, the Cloud City or whatever that the good people live in, and it's chaos and whatever. And there's this one wide shot where it's made with miniatures, where you see the cloud and it's on fire and it's being shot at by all the little lasers, and it's slowly falling into the ocean as it's on fire, and the music's all sad and everything, but the framing of it is comedy, and I burst out laughing hysterically in the theater. Everyone turned around was looking at me, but I thought it was hilarious. I thought that was a joke in the movie, and I thought it was so funny. And that was my favorite part.
No, that movie has an absolutely star-studded cast.
Yeah.
You got Morgan Freeman plays the wizard, Will Ferrell plays the bad guy.
Yep.
And ends up being the good guy. He joins the good guys at the end. You can't
spoilers. You're spoiling the Lego movie.
No, I spoiled Lego Movie 2014.
No. And I mean, it's just. I guess Chris Pratt wouldn't have been as big back then, but it was still decent. He was still kind of popular.
I mean, he had still already been on Parks and Rec, so he was pretty big.
But I actually really liked how it was like the whole movie like was just like the dad and his son like playing with the Lego, because it showed how like it kind of like transcends your family. I thought that was just cool.
Yeah. Well, no, it actually had a good theme, and it was a very positive movie. It was a good one.
And then
actually, I watched that one not that long
ago. And after
ago.
that was successful, Lego was like, all right, time to do 10 more.
Yeah, now we got to make more, especially now that Chris Pratt's super famous.
Yeah. Then I saw the second one. It wasn't that good. Actually, Lego Batman is a very good movie.
I've heard
that is an
I haven't seen
underrated movie. That was a
very which
good.
Lego movie is really good? AJ, The Adventures of
Clutch Powers.
Clutch Powers is the goated Lego movie.
That's the original Lego movie. It's better than all the rest of them. Never to be topped. Has Lego Castle in it.
Slugger, we will bother you until you watch it.
Prepare for endless messages until you eventually see the film.
Yeah, I would just say, be careful on your live streams. You will watch it one day. You could watch it live on live stream.
It's like an hour long.
I'm not even sure you would get like a copyright strike or anything if you watched it live, because I don't even think that movie is copyrighted
I think
by
Lego forgot they made it.
Yeah, like somebody from Lego would probably be watching it and be like, that's hilarious. Who made
will
this?
take it down.
Is this a fan film?
This is a classic.
I found the whole thing on YouTube. Remember, the whole thing on YouTube was just in the tiny corner screen with like thanks for watching next to it.
Thanks for watching. It's the only way they could get away with it.
It's literally like an hour long. It's like the best time you could ever spend with your life.
Yeah,
just watching Clutch Powers.
you would enjoy that movie. I know it. I know you would.
I'll have to
it's
take your word
the
for
best
it.
movie
Yep.
ever made. I'll buy a Galador figure if you watch that movie.
Oh,
I will make a deal
interesting.
right here in front of the internet and everyone. I'll buy a Galador figure if you watch that movie.
All right.
give Galador a try.
All right, Brendan.
Maybe I'll
make
put Star Wars down.
Yeah.
When I get a Galador figure, I'll send you a picture and you have to watch it.
Sounds good. I'll make that deal.
I'll ship you my DVD.
DVD copy.
You can just have it. I'll just put it in my old DVD player and just burn a copy onto another DVD and pirate it, and then I'll just send you the pirated copy.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, Clutch Powers. Well, we've talked about Lego for a while, but I also think it's important. We should probably stray away from it a little bit, because there's more to the persona of Slugger than just Lego.
Wait, Slugger's not a Lego figure? What is this? This
No,
is news to
they've
me.
never released the slugs. That's why he has a tutorial on how to build them.
Of course.
So, so we're gonna change topics here. I want to, at least.
Yeah, that
sounds good.
Because I don't know if this is something you've talked about on your channel. Where does your name come from? The RR Slugger name.
Yeah, good question. It basically came from the fact that when Brett and I were designing the channel together, we decided that, well, we need a mascot for the channel, and it's got to be a slimy slug, which was one of the creatures that lives on planet U, which is where the Rock Raiders are from. So we decided, okay, it's got to be slimy slug. And at first I was like, okay, just like slimy slug reviews or something like that. But then we're like, no, let's give him a name, right? And so we're like, Slugger maybe. And I just wanted to expand upon that a little bit further, and we were tossing around this idea of the sort of the sideshow sort of or like circus ringleader sort of character, our Sluggers Rock Raiders retrospective, that sort of idea. And so we were kind of leaning into that. I think P.T. Barnum, that sort of idea. And so we just put a couple of initials at the start of the name, RR, and then Slugger. And the character's born. And to answer the next question, which is going to be, what does RR stand for? Because I get that one on live streams quite a bit as well. Nothing in particular. It could be Rock Raiders, like our Rock
I always
Raiders.
just assumed that's what it stood for.
Yeah, I think that's
the
the obvious answer. I go by Rama on Discord as well too, so it could be Rama Slugger. 2 R's there. I don't know. Any of the above, or some imaginary thing that you come up with yourself. That's fine too.
Yeah, I was always curious, because I always thought Rock Raiders as well when you were doing just the Rock Raiders videos, and then I think it was on your live stream, or it may have just been something that I asked you personally, asking about it, and you said, oh no, it's just kind of like RR just kind of means nothing, like we just kind of threw it on there, and it's like it can be Rock Raiders or Rama, because I was like, I was like, so, well, you first said it wasn't Rock Raiders, and I was like, so is it like? I know you're tight about cybersecurity and stuff. I was like, is it his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Like,
I'm Ryan Reynolds, guys. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We got Ryan Reynolds on.
It's great to be here.
in
It's great to
secret.
be here.
This is his. This is
The reveal,
his-
face
yeah,
reveal.
this-
All right, turn on the camera.
yeah. Time to turn the camera on. We finally figured it out, guys.
Yeah. Yep.
We
RR
did
stands
it.
for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, Slugger.
That's
I never,
great.
I never knew.
I look
I
a
never
lot
knew
different
Ryan
without the
Reynolds was
makeup
a
on,
stage
you
name.
know?
I didn't know it was
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds Slugger.
Is that why, like, in all your videos, you kind of talk about Slugger in, like, it's more third person perspective?
Yeah, that's a funny bit right there. As a person in my own life, I sometimes talk about myself in the third person, and it kind of translates over into Slugger as well too. Now sometimes there is like a dramatic reason for that. Like in the case of Darth Slugger the Wise, for example, it's told in the third person because it's supposed to be Darth Sidious retelling this story to a young Anakin Skywalker,
Yeah.
right? You know, but then there are some times where I will use Slugger in third person just for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the best instances of that is the Slugger hot take.
Slugger.
It's always a third one. Here comes a Slugger hot take.
Right.
That's become a staple of the channel that I think is
It kind of has, hasn't it? Yeah.
you've got some interesting opinions, I have to say, that I've heard.
Yeah, we're calling you out.
Is there any?
It's
Is
fair.
there?
It's fair.
I won't force any out. But
No, okay.
is
what?
there any that you?
Sorry, go ahead, Brendan. Yeah, I'll let you finish
Is
the
there,
question.
is there any hot takes you'd like to throw out there on this this special broadcast?
I feel like I can
It
share
won't be
one.
too harsh, I
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah, I feel like I can share one here because I actually did watch something to prepare for this podcast. I watched a little bit of Star Wars.
Whoa.
I know. I watched a little
okay.
bit of Star
Interesting.
Wars. I watched the trench run from A New Hope. And so it's 15 minutes of Star Wars right there. And watching that again, and I actually watched it a couple of times because it's so good. I was just drawn into it. I got chills just watching it again. And that further solidified my opinion that A New Hope is a 10 out of 10 movie, and everything else that has the Star Wars name on it is a 7 or below. Everything.
All right, that's it. Get off the podcast.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're ending the call.
All right, he's just trying to enrage us now. No,
Okay.
You
I
don't
respect
have
the
to
New
agree
Hope
with this opinion. This is one Slug's
respect-
opinion here, right?
I respect
least-
the New Hope opinion, but you can't call Empire a 7 out of 10. That's disrespectful.
that's the one I'd like to get into. Is that you think Empire Strikes Back is a 7 out of 10?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean,
I can
for my
understand
own
preferring
personal
A New Hope.
enjoyment, Yeah.
A lot of people actually do prefer New Hope. I get it to the original. I don't have a problem with that. But you can't be like, it's a 7 out of 10. That's, like, I don't know.
You know what?
The I Am Your Father is, like, the most iconic line in the movie
Yeah, that
history.
puts it on par with like Marvel movies.
Yeah, like, what are you saying that Thor the Dark World's better than Empire? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm willing to twist the knife here a little bit more. I almost had to go back and kind of redact my statement there that A New Hope's a 10 out of 10, everything else Star Wars is 7 or below, because I wanted to bump one of the movies up to an 8, and it was Return of the Jedi.
Oh, come on.
only one.
No.
And that's because now you've been public about this.
Yeah,
I know you will never admit it, but I know it's because you're a musician and it's because of the musical number. That's the only reason you like it.
Yeah, you
There's
like-
no-
you like
there's
the-
nothing else that
You
is
like the
redeeming about that
2000,
movie.
what was it, when did they add that music
the
number in? Like 2001 or
the
something?
2001 edition.
You know
And
what?
also, Revenge of the Sith is definitely, you can't, if you're going to bump any of them, make it Revenge of the Sith, please.
No, like I mean, the prequels are still all zeros, right? Like they all fail.
What? Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
No.
Hold on.
They fail fundamentally as movies, but they are entertaining to watch. Like I do enjoy watching Revenge of the Sith. It's probably my second favorite Star Wars movie. I still think it's a 0 out of 10. It just isn't. So many problems with the narrative structure, with the acting, with the digital effects. Like there's just so many. It's a comedy of errors. It's
That
hilarious.
movie was
It's a funny movie.
revolutionary for digital effects in the movie industry. How do you know that was a revolutionary film?
Yeah. It does not hold up at all today. And, Yeah, I don't know. I do enjoy that movie quite a bit though, because it is hilarious. It's very funny.
It's a cinematic masterpiece, I'll have you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think
a 0 out of 10 is pretty low.
that's pretty hard. I mean, all right. What
It's
what
one of
would
those
you
things-
give the sequel films you've seen then? If the
Yeah.
prequels are 0 out of 10, then I'm hoping the sequels are negative.
See,
They
yeah,
better be
yeah,
negative.
and here we get into the problem with I mean, giving anything a numbered rating like this, because my second favorite Star Wars movie is Revenge of the Sith. It's so entertaining to watch, and even though it fails fundamentally as a movie, in my opinion, like from a narrative structure and all the points I already mentioned, it's still more entertaining to watch than any of the sequel films that I've seen. I've only seen the first 2 sequels because I've boycotted Disney basically since The Last Jedi, just because of the theatrical experience
fair.
that was. Yeah, not to speak to the quality of the movie
Yeah.
or anything.
I don't disagree with that.
Experience is definitely the best way to describe
Yeah,
that.
seeing that film.
Yeah,
Seeing that for the first time was definitely some kind of an experience.
It most certainly was, and I know Ryan Johnson gets a lot of flack for that, but we went and watched Knives Out right afterwards, and it was amazing. So I don't know. I don't know if we can pin it all on one person there. I think there was a lot of
No, it's
cooks in the
definitely the
kitchen.
executives at Lucasfilm for not
Yeah.
planning out a trilogy.
I think, I
yeah.
think it's well, Ryan Johnson came out in an interview and he was like, "Yeah, I probably should have had more of a structured plan for the 8th movie."
They didn't have a plan, so they
yeah,
just,
they were
let him
just
do
they were
whatever
just
he
like,
wanted.
"Yeah, just make noises
Then
and
he
jokes."
like retconned everything that had been established previously because he didn't like care about.
Yeah, he just threw it away. He was like,
This is why you don't do different directors for a trilogy of film. It's supposed
Yeah.
to have one story.
3 movies with 3 different directors."
Yeah.
Well, no, because
I mean, that's what
Well,
that's what
Abrams
they
directed
did for the
both.
original trilogy, though, right? It was 3 different, or no?
Yeah,
I'm thinking
but
of writers,
Lucas
maybe,
still
yeah.
wrote all 3 stories, though.
Yeah, Lucas was still the one that got the final say on everything. Once they took him out of the picture, it got a little rough on the edges.
This is the thing. The thing about the prequel trilogy that, at the very least, it is a coherent story. Even if you don't think the story is well written, it is at least
It is at least a story with
from
a
1
beginning
to
and an
3,
end.
it is a coherent thing that it connects. The thing about the sequel trilogy, the 3 movies, they don't connect with each other. They keep retconning things in the previous film, saying, "Oh, that didn't actually happen," or "That was false." And they keep pressing the reset button every time the new movie comes out. It's like, all right, new rules.
New rules. Force
New
heal.
rules. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you watch I know you're not going to, but in the Mandalorian, like behind the scenes, they have like the table talk with all the directors and Dave
yeah.
Filoni, who's like the writer of Clone Wars, and they explain how Episode 1 connects to Episode 6, and George Lucas had a story connecting all 6 films, and they're all very coherent. The problem is he's terrible at writing dialogue. So
Is he really?
yeah,
do you
he's
think
not the
so?
best dialogue writer. So he's amazing at world building and like storytelling, world building, but when it comes to just basic dialogue writing, he kind of sucks at it. So
I mean,
if they had gotten someone to edit the dialogue in the prequels, I think they'd be a lot more coherently sound
to be
in
fair to
there.
George, he did write the most quotable movies in history. So
That's true. They are. I wouldn't change them for anything because I love them too much, as those were our Star Wars films growing up.
right,
That's true.
Right.
I wouldn't change them even if I know they could be better. Because
They cannot
honestly,
be.
they usually have like the book that goes with it. It's like the visual novel.
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes with them. Those usually are like what would happen if George Lucas wasn't the dialogue writer. It was like actually a
Yeah,
coherent film.
the novelization of them where they're like, this is like if they made it, but they talked like real people.
And also, Clone Wars elevates the prequel trilogy.
That's true.
Because it fills in a lot of the gaps.
Yeah, I
And that's
think
actually well written.
circling back to our groveling
Yeah, the groveling.
as Star Wars fans. Yeah, I like that for Star Wars to be enjoyable now because you just proved it. You can't say
gotta
didn't.
watch.
You're like, you have to see all of the TV shows and the interviews with the directors, and then you
Right.
can like the movies.
Yeah.
You have to see all of it. If you haven't seen all of it, you won't understand it. It's not nearly as bad as Marvel, where it's like if you haven't seen every other movie and TV show, you will not understand what's happening at all. Because Star Wars doesn't make sense to start with. Like, none of it really makes that much sense. And
You
that's
can
why
jump
it's so
into
great.
any Star Wars film and just watch it and understand what's happening.
Well, I mean, they started the series on the 4th movie.
Yeah, they did. They did. But I think that's why Lego doesn't like doing these unique sets. So, like, we want to do the most basic, broad Star Wars set possible that everyone will recognize. we don't want to do the niche Clone Wars sets, even though a lot of people will buy them because Lego's like, no, we want that parent who's walking down the Target or Walmart aisle to be like, oh, that's the X-wing. I know that one.
I remember that.
I remember the X-wing. Let me buy that for my kid.
That's just circling back to how they target the adults.
Yeah, but they have a weird way of doing that.
It's really interesting to hear you guys talk about that in that light because I mean, like the series I collect, like I mean, Rock Raiders had 8 sets. You know, it's like I don't know. It's definitely I guess a different experience collecting themes that were so short-lived and wanting more from those series rather than collecting, you know, something like Star Wars and wanting more from a series like that. Well, you guys got a lot of sets out there. You know, I'm looking over there. I'm a little jealous, right? You know, we only got eight Rock Raider sets.
This is the thing. Because there's a couple of YouTubers whose goal in life is to collect every Lego Star Wars set, and I'm like, that has to be the most expensive hobby in existence. Because especially the old ones, like
Jango Fett's Slave One.
Yeah, you want the original UCS
$900.
Remember the UCS X-wing 1999? That's like a $4,000 set. Like that's just one. That's one set from one wave in 1 year. Is like thousands of dollars.
So one of the things.
I remember.
Yeah, sorry to interject here. One of the things I don't understand about the Lego Star Wars community, and it is probably just attributed to me assigning, you know, a group mentality, one voice basically, which never works. But I don't understand how
it is.
Yeah,
that is how the Star Wars community works.
We all just hate Lego, but we keep buying it.
I don't understand why the original sets, or so many of the original sets, get so much flack. Like here I am, I'm still holding this ATST, this original ATST, and you know they're always hated on by Star Wars collectors, or the gray Snowspeeder, or the blue TIE Fighters, that sort of stuff. And then at the same time, they're also like really expensive sets. You know, like the Cloud City. That's an old Lego set. Like they still had you know, yellow skinned minifigures in that one, and that Clone City, or not Clone City, sorry, Cloud City set is now like oodles of money, and I don't understand that duality, I guess, behind it, where on one hand you can hate the way that old Lego Star Wars looked, but on the other hand you're willing to pay that much money to get those sets.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because we hate ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the easiest answer to give you. Is that we want the old sets, but we hate them because they're ugly, but they're also a classic. So
it's like that Darth Maul head, the Lego Darth Maul head.
Yeah, that Lego Darth Maul head cost me so much money. I don't even own it, but it cost me money as an Alpha Team collector, and I'm resentful.
Just
I'm
because
resentful.
it exists.
Just
you
because
had to
it
pay
exists.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a Star Wars collector, it affects you. No matter what.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's this big ripple effect. Everybody has to pay because we get our own pieces.
I'm gonna maybe spoil a little bit, or maybe this is a little bit of a teaser of upcoming Slugger content. But there is going to be a part 3 of this Darth Slugger the Wise. I don't know if it's going to be its own like part 3 video, but I did recently have to buy, or I guess not have to, but I bought a Lego piece that was $40 for one piece, and it's because it was included on a UCS set from way back when. And I'm not gonna really spill the beans on what piece it is or what the video it's gonna be used in for. But yeah, it's set exclusive to this one UCS set, and I needed it.
It's not the Darth Maul head.
It's not the Darth Maul head,
Darth Maul head.
But it's that vintage. It should be from that same year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
wow.
I needed it for a build from a Lego magazine. They used this piece in one of their builds in the Lego magazine. And
they used a piece that only came in a vintage Star Wars set in a Lego magazine.
They were real bastards about that. it can be rough sometimes.
That is rough.
Yeah,
classic Lego. That's actually a classic Lego move.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you gotta make sure you got this piece. Oh, what's it in? Nah, just this one. It's in this one. You do not have it if you don't have this set.
You could build this at home, you know.
Yeah, build this at home.
Yep.
It's only pieces from a UCS set that got released 5 years ago, though. So I hope you have the piece.
Good luck.
If not, you got to go to Bricklink, spend $40 on a piece.
Yeah, which is what.
So you bought it because it only came in a Star Wars set.
Yeah, Yeah, and I needed it for
Wow.
this other build from a magazine. And
Why didn't you buy the whole Star Wars set?
Yeah.
Why don't you just buy every Lego Star Wars set?
Yeah,
then
just
you'll have
Oh,
unlimited
that's a
pieces
great
for
idea. I
any
should have
set you
done
ever
that.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have all the exclusive pieces if you just have every one of the sets.
That'd be awesome.
I don't think you thought this through, Slugger. Just buy every set. You'll be fine.
See, he wasn't thinking about our community when he started this channel.
This is now Slugger's just gonna become a Lego Star Wars YouTuber.
So
God, I hope we don't do that to him. I hope we don't ruin his
Yeah,
channel.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, only Lego Star Wars content.
There's a color
Sorry.
that Lego produced way back when, and I think 2001 was the first and maybe only year they made this color. It's called sand purple. I don't remember the years of it all that well.
Oh my God, I know what set it is.
Yeah. So we're talking about the Zamwazel from that whatever the chase set was called back then.
Yep.
But her torso, her arms, and her legs are the only pieces in sand purple that I don't have. I have every other piece that Lego ever produced in that color except that figure. And I just don't want to spend $60 to get this figure. You know, that's all it comes down to. Otherwise, I could complete my sand purple collection or whatever, right? But
$60.
Yeah.
You're getting it for a steal.
Oh,
Hey,
gee.
to be fair, she does come with Spark's helmet.
Yeah, that's true. Which is pretty cool.
I've always been jealous of that light gray. Well, I want
Yeah.
to say Power Miner's helmet, but really it's the Rock Raiders.
It is
helmet.
the Rock Raiders
Yeah.
helmet.
Oh
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
I do want to get Slugger's opinion on Rock Raiders, the diet.
Oh yeah,
the
what,
Power Miners.
Yeah, what do you think of Power Miners?
Find
Because
them.
we used to have that.
Because that was around when we were buying Lego. We didn't have Rockers. We had Power Miners. It's in Clutch Powers, so
It is. Half of Clutch Power is about Power Miners.
Exactly,
That's where the
so-
name came from.
Really?
I would argue that makes it a better theme because it's
I
in
have
Clutch
no
Powers.
idea.
Oh,
I
okay.
have no clue. I don't even know what that movie's actually supposed to be about.
I don't know. There's like a wizard and stuff.
It's just like an ad for 2000s
It's just a big
Lego.
it's a big Lego ad, but I would argue because Power Miners makes an appearance in that movie, it's better than Rock Raiders.
Yeah, I can't
Can't
argue with that.
that's just sound logic right there.
Yeah, what do you
Right.
think of Rock Raiders?
Yeah.
Power
Yeah.
Miners.
Power Miners. Yeah.
See, they're so easy to get confused.
It's kind of become a meme on my channel for people to ask me my opinion on Power Miners, so I kind of lean into that. But yeah, in 2009 when it was coming out, I realized the significance of it because I recognized, hey, this is the spiritual successor to Rock Raiders. I don't really collect Lego anymore. In 2009, I was well into my dark age, but yet I decided to save up some money, go out and buy 3 of the sets right off the first wave there, just because I recognized, hey, it's significant, and I want to show my support for this sort of theme, and also I want to check these sets out. That Thunder Driller looks pretty cool. So the 3 sets that I have from Power Miners are the Granite Grinder, which was the small little one with the little orange plow on the front of it. The Claw Digger, which also had the orange claws to it, and the Thunder Driller as well. So I can't weigh into Power Miners much more than those 3 sets. That's my little bubble of what I know of Power Miners. Of the 3 sets, I think they're all pretty good. The Claw Digger, I think, is my favorite one. I think that's the most successful set of the bunch there. Some of the problems I have with the theme would be aesthetically, the lime green versus the orange, 2 of my least favorite colors, I think, just generally as a person, and mixing them together like that, and just so much of them, really, really garish looking in my eyes, so I can't really, show a lot of affection towards the aesthetics they went with. And the characters all having the same uniform, well, I get the idea behind it, really kind of made all the characters just kind of blend into one kind of mush. I really couldn't tell the figures apart from each other. When you look at Rock Raiders, by contrast, each character is very unique looking compared to the rest. They all look like they belong together. They all look like a team, but they wear their own outfits, and they look a little bit more experienced as well, too, I'd say. The Power Miners look like they're fresh off the line. These are new drilling vehicles, and everyone's got the matching uniforms and everything, and so they're going for a different aesthetic. I totally get that idea. Yeah.
Whoa. I can distinguish the characters. There is the scientist, and he wears white, and then there is the rest of them, and they all have different overalls.
Hey,
they
know
have,
what?
Sorry, they
you're
have
talking.
a
Yeah, sorry,
different.
go ahead.
They have a different symbol on the front of their overalls.
Yeah,
That's I don't know any of the names. There's a scientist and the rest of them.
I actually know a few of the names. Brains is the name of the scientist, and I know you were talking about misprints earlier.
No idea.
Yeah, you were talking about misprints earlier. I actually have a misprint Brains. I haven't looked into how rare this is or whatever, but Brains normally has a mustache. And Power Miners all have alternate faces, which was something that was more new at the time. That just wasn't a thing back with their 90s sets. But anyways, you'd flip over the head, and you get their scared expression when they're maybe fighting the rock monsters or whatever. But anyways, my misprint Brains, on one side, when he's happy or whatever, he's got his mustache. And then when you flip the head around, his mustache is gone, and he's scared, but there's no more mustache. And I've got one that still has the mustache as well, too. So I know one of them's a misprint there. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
That actually is pretty cool. That's also a cool misprint. It's not like the helmet is on the back of the head.
Right. Yeah.
Like that. Wow, you have a clean-shaven Power Miners Brains the Scientist.
Yeah.
You're more qualified to talk about Power Miners than I am. I have 3.
I know one of them's named Rex. One of them's named
I had
Duke.
one of the tiny
I don't remember the other characters from there though.
Yeah, I don't mean to pour salt on a wound here, but how does it make you feel that Power Miners got so many more sets than Rock Raiders?
Yeah, that does kind of sting a bit. I think some of the sets that came out in the second wave looked pretty interesting. I think that's the wave that had the titanium command rig, or maybe the one with the base. The third wave to me looked really boring. It's where they stopped drilling, like they got to their destination and then they changed all the sets to have like a water gimmick to like spray lava monsters with, and they added blue into the color scheme, and like blue mixed with the lime green and the orange just made matters worse. Like it looks so significantly worse compared to the aesthetic that they already had, that I thought looked pretty terrible just to begin with. So in making my my video for the Rock Raiders HQ, which was the big set from Rock Raiders, I kind of finally understood how Power Miners as a color scheme could have worked, and it's going to be one of my projects now to make a Power Miners build or a little mock or something of it, using the color distribution from Rock Raiders, not using the colors, but using the way the colors were used in Rock Raiders and putting that towards Power Miners. And I think it's going to turn out really well. The only problem is I don't have enough new gray pieces because I don't collect new gray. My collection is specifically old gray. So in order to do the video proper, I probably should use the correct new gray parts for Power Miners, because that was the color they used at the time. Otherwise, I could just see people like saying like, "Oh, you used the wrong gray." Like, of course this looks different, or of course it's gonna work, or whatever,
Well, I can tell you a way to get it.
Oh no!
Start buying the Star Wars.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of new gray.
Those come with lots of it. You'll have unlimited options if you buy all the gray ships, which is basically anything the bad guys have.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, even to me, watching your videos, because when I first came across your channel, you had worked your way up to the whichever set it was you reviewed right before the 1012. So I think the one that came out right after I found you was the tunnel transport, maybe. I'm not sure, but I remember watching, and then finally you released your HQ video, and I watched it, and I was like, "That's great." And then you were like, "Yeah, this is the last of all the retail sets," and I was like, "They didn't make more?" It's like, this is all they did. They made.
Yep, that's it.
It's like they made 8 of them. Like, but I was like, these actually are like pretty cool though. Like, there's no more. Where's the rest?
I know. Yeah, now Rock Raiders is in a funny spot because there were plans to make a second wave, and we know this pretty much for sure from those hard drives that I talked about earlier, just the email backups and everything like that. Like, we have that information now. They were planning on making a second wave, but basically pulled the plug due to sales not shaping up. And I think part of the problem behind that scenario is that the Rock Raiders PC game just took a little too long to make. It just took too long to bake in the oven, and by the time most people, at least this is my perspective of it, I don't have numbers to back any of this up, so you have to take it all with a grain of salt, but when most people got their hands on the game, it would have been in a 4-pack set with like Lego Island, Lego Chess, that sort of thing, not as a standalone title. I think that's when most people who play the game now got it, was in these 4-packs. That's at least when I did. And by the time the 4-pack was out, Rock Raiders was retired. It was over. The sets were off the shelves. And so had they timed it a little bit differently, where maybe the video game came out first and predated the sets maybe by 6 months or so, they would have been able to kind of capitalize on that a little bit more due to the success of the game. But I know just the circumstance led to the fact that, okay, we got to push, got to get this stuff out. You know, I know the game's still buggy, just got to send it out. It doesn't matter, right? Like, the sets are coming out July 1st. We got to get this game on the store shelves. And I think what ended up happening was the sets actually predated the game. So the sets came out first, then the game came out. And by the time the game had finally found an audience, it was basically too late.
Oh, that's a shame.
That sounds like every modern video game ever.
That's-
It's almost Christmas. Get it out. Is it buggy?
Is it finished? We'll
Drop it.
Yeah, they couldn't even update that.
No, yeah.
Let's
they're-
drop the game.
That's almost. It's like Rock Raiders got the sad ending. He just
Yeah,
Slugger
the
just
game
showed us-
wasn't buggy, but no one wanted it.
Yeah, Slugger just showed us what could have been. He was like, yeah, they made these sets, and they were great sets, but the game came out too late, and when the game came out, it didn't work right, so it kind of all just fell apart.
One thing I was actually talking to somebody in the comment section on my Rock Raiders canon video, because they were talking about Bionicle, and Bionicle had this long 20-year lifespan or whatever it was, this big ever-evolving continuous story. And I don't necessarily think Rock Raiders had the potential for that. Like, I think the size of Power Miners is about as big as Rock Raiders could have ever hoped to be. Basically, like 2 waves, or 2.5 waves, or 3 waves, or whatever, within that ballpark. So, like, yes, it would have been amazing to get a wave 2 of Rock Raiders. It's just a very limited idea in a lot of senses, right? Like, they're digging, they're mining for crystals. There's not too much more you can do with that story element. Like, oh, they went to a different planet and they mined for different crystals and they had to take different drilling vehicles or whatever, right? If you start to pivot too much, you might run into like what kind of happens with Ninjago, where they use Ninjago as an umbrella to release a bunch of other sets, or like this year Ninjago is digital, this year Ninjago is underwater, right? And they'll do those sorts of themes with it. I think at best you could have maybe seen Rock Raiders do that, but then you have to have that argument of like, well, is it still Rock Raiders at that point, right?
Well, in honor of you, Slugger, we're going to start a change.org petition to bring Rock Raiders back in 2023.
Maybe. If that worked, that would be... that'd be
I
great.
wish change.org petitions actually work. That'd be awesome. Let's get like 1 million signatures. The people want Rock Raiders.
See,
Come on,
Lego still
Lego.
won't make it.
yeah,
We get like 2 signatures.
Lego will go, fine, you can have the Commander Cody.
Lego will be like, fine, here's 1 minifigure. We're dropping it in the next year's CMF.
we're gonna put Commander Cody in the Rock Raiders reboot. Just be there.
We're gonna make a CMF and release Chief.
Yeah,
Chief. Yeah, you get
that'd
Chief,
be
that's
great.
it.
But he's random. You just gotta buy 100
Yeah,
baggies.
he's a Mr.
He's like the
Gold. Yeah.
he's like the
He's
the
the
Mr.
rarest
Gold
figure.
where he's in every 1,000. Here, you wanted Rock Raiders here. He's got the teal blue. He's got He's got the teal arm.
Yep.
He's got the teal.
There you go.
Part
You're
of
welcome.
Part of the I think the problem with a Rock Raiders reboot, or like if they just like did Rock Raiders 2, or like just tried to continue the theme, is that many of the colors now have been retired, and there's just no, I don't know. I would be willing to settle for less, which is what I'd have to do. But without the old grays, without now trans neon orange is out, without the chrome or old brown as well too, I think you just lose a lot of what makes Rock Raiders from an aesthetic point of view, at least.
Sorry, my girlfriend just walked in.
Hello.
I think if they were to do a reboot of Rock Raiders, I think the thing that would make the most sense to honor it would be something like in the creator line. In my opinion, at least. Like I mean, unless you want to wait another like 70 years for classic Lego.
Another 7 years.
I don't know if I've got 70 years left in me. We'll see.
Well, healthcare's getting better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm in Canada. I'm all good.
Yeah, he's got that free Canadian healthcare, so
Yeah.
he'll be all right.
That's right. He's got the free stuff. He's got the good. He's got that good healthcare. Well, we're right around the 2-hour mark. Do you guys want to wrap up? I mean, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I mean, I kind of want to ask just Slugger, like in general, like what do you think the future of your YouTube channel is gonna kind of look like, and like how do you think you're gonna expand from this point? Because I mean, you were what 1,012 subscribers special. It was only like a couple months ago, and you're almost at 4,000. So
I know, and I'm I'm dreading the future in some ways, but I'm also optimistic. I do like that so many people find enjoyment in the videos, and that's great. There's actually something that what's his name, Davey504, is that the bass player on YouTube? I can't remember the number that follows his name there. He's got millions of subscribers or whatever, but in one of his videos he talked about how when you get bigger as a YouTuber, the pressures change, things change. So he uses this as an example. He says that when you're a small YouTuber and you've got like 100 subscribers or 30 subscribers or whatever it is, and you make a video and it doesn't get many views, that makes sense because there's just not a huge audience there. But when you've got millions of subscribers and you make a video and it barely reaches like 1,000 or 30,000 views or something like that, that can mean that, like, well, you made a video but it wasn't good enough to appeal to a lot of people or something of that ilk, right? And that's kind of been an interesting consideration of mine recently, because it's kind of hitting that part of the channel now where the videos don't reach the subscriber count in terms of views, and that's becoming pretty typical. It's seeming like maybe about 25% of subscribers will watch this video that I made, and I'm obviously not doing this for views or for subscribers or for any of that, and I really try not to pay attention to those metrics, but you do notice those sorts of things too, and I'm not saying that that's bumming me out or anything like that, but it's interesting to notice that sort of trend that happens now, where, you know, the subscriber count says, oh, it's almost 4,000, right? But the video only got about 1,000 views on it, so it's like, I wonder what's going on, if it's a problem with YouTube not popping things up in sub boxes. I heard someone say that to me recently, that they're like, oh, you made this video, it didn't even appear in my sub box, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're doing that still, you know. But in terms of thinking of like long-term growth, I don't know how many years I'm gonna be, you know, doing this sort of stuff. I kind of take it, you know, 1 week at a time, but the limits are basically whatever I feel like I've got things to say about, which is limited, right? It's not limitless. There is at some point going to be an end to what I feel like I can contribute to the LEGO community. And we're far from it. And I really wish I could make videos faster so I could get there sooner. But I really only want to release videos when I feel like they're done, right? And this video is finished, it's ready, it's good to go. I've watched it before I've uploaded it, because goodness sakes, there's so many YouTubers that don't do that, and it's so obvious with the glaring errors that they leave in their videos, just editing errors and things like that. I don't understand how you don't have enough time or energy or passion to watch your own product before you put it out on the internet like that. It's very strange to me.
No, that's interesting. Not that we're exactly the largest YouTubers on the platform, but I kind of understand what you're saying with, like, I mean, like, when you get to a certain point, there's just going to be so many people just, like, contacting you and talking and, like, being in your community, and then that will inevitably increase the negativity. But I think you've done a pretty good job overall, just, like, keeping your channel, you know, positive, even with the sudden growth of subscribers. It hasn't...
Thank you.
It's not like the channel's changed in any way, and I really appreciate that, and definitely my new favorite LEGO YouTuber.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
That's not even in question.
I mean, not even a question anymore. But it's just, you know, it's obviously just, you might get more negativity in the future, but I mean, it's just not something you got, because you don't want to, like, latch on to those types of things, because, like, these are just anonymous people on the internet. Like,
Yeah.
they'll say anything.
Yeah.
I mean, As far as he knows, we're anonymous people. He knows our name, but
Yep.
I guess
yeah.
he knows our name, but
We're all internet acquaintances, you know.
that's true.
Yeah.
I also don't watch through all of our videos when we post them. They're
neither.
kind of long, so
we're putting out. What we put out is conversations. I mean,
Right.
The stuff
different.
Slugger puts out, not to put us down or to put him up, is like actual like really high quality good stuff. Like that's something. Not that we shouldn't be proud of what we do, but like that's really something that would make sense to rewatch and be proud of because there's a lot of work put into it. This production here is the most work we've put into a video, you know, because it's having on another person and coordinating that, but it's not that same level of, you know, care, and it really does show through your videos, Slugger, like the amount of care you put into them.
Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about it actually earlier today, and I was looking at some of the thumbnails because you can actually basically pinpoint when Slugger learned how to make thumbnails, and it basically starts with the retiring the colors video, and I remember walking away from that one and building the thumbnail and being like, I'm actually really proud of that thumbnail. I think I did a good job with that one, and that's basically the turning point. That's new Slugger versus old Slugger, I guess, in that moment. And I wonder if other people think, like other people that have watched the channel since the beginning think of it that way, because when you look at the older thumbnails, they're much less like eye-catching. They're not trying to like pop out at you, but you get a lot more colorful ones these days, and it's just because Slugger is now actually thinking about like, oh, you know what, I should probably put some effort into a thumbnail, not just, you know, take one photo that I used in my video and put like just the logo and the name of the set on it, right? I should maybe do a little bit more than that. And it was a good kick in the butt for actually thinking about thumbnails, you know, to go about and start doing that. And nowadays, when I make a video, I oftentimes spend at least an hour on a thumbnail before I upload it. The fear of missing out's a great example. Even though it is just a set image of the set, I had to extend the image off to the left large enough to make it fit the aspect ratio of you know, the thumbnail, and so I actually had to go in and you know, do some cropping and stretch some image and do some crossfade or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what I'm talking about here, obviously, but yeah, it was a lot of fun trying to get that right so that it looks okay. And I think if you blow up the image, like you can notice the seam, yeah, and whatnot, but it's so small on the thumbnail that's like, oh, okay, it's fine, it works. You know, sometimes good enough is good enough.
No, a lot of people don't consider thumbnails, but it's definitely one of the most important aspects of YouTube, because I think that's what people are, that could be the difference between someone clicking on your video and not.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I've always said this about our podcast in terms of our conversations. The best thing to listen to when you're falling asleep. Just throw it out in the background.
not this one. This is
Not
one you
this.
can actively listen to.
Yeah.
We have a real life person on here.
We have a real person.
Hello,
to listen
everybody.
There's a real person, not just us.
to. Yeah, it's not just us talking to
No,
ourselves.
well, we can't discredit the other episodes with guests are good too.
Yeah.
Every
The
guest
other real
episode's
people,
10
not
out of
us.
10.
We're just fake.
Yeah.
We're made up. We're figments.
I guess
of
they
the
don't know.
internet.
We could be AI robots and they would not know.
We could be AI robots and Slugger wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
That's true. You passed the Turing
Is
test.
that a scary thought?
Scary. Yeah, he thinks we're real. That's all that matters.
That's the only thing that's actually important.
But no, I have to say, I'm definitely excited to see where your channel goes from this point.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I think it's only gonna get better, honestly. And the things
you. Yeah.
you've done, I think make you stand out in the Lego community, definitely. And I hope you get a lot more success, because I think a lot more people would be really interested in like what you've made so far.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's almost like going back to what we talked about at the beginning, where it's just like you can't compare it with the other Lego stuff because it's just different.
Yeah, it's different.
This is, you know, you can tell this was prepared correctly. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like this half-assed, here's the thing, here's why I don't like it. It's like, you know, it's like I mean this not in an insulting way, but it almost appeals to the inner child, where you see the life in the sets that you talk about.
Yeah.
Like, you
that's
actually
good. That's
like
good.
the time cruisers one, you see like the propellers going and stuff just on its own, like freestanding, and I'm like, oh wow, that's, you know, that's really cool. Like, you know, you don't see that Usually when people talk about them, they don't even spin the propeller for you.
Yeah.
And this is like
They just take a
it's all-
photo of it, then do the Ken Burns zoom out.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of Ken Burns in my content too. The DaVinci Resolve program that I use has a nice little dynamic zoom button. You can just check off, and it'll automatically do that little
Yep.
little zoom feature for you. And I use it every day. It's so good.
I think every editing software has some version of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just classic. I mean, just adds a little bit of motion, adds a little bit of life to photos. It's great. And then you don't have to rely on stop motion animation all the time. Like, I mean, stop motion is something that I think people comment on a lot on my channel. And it's something that I like to do. I'm definitely not a perfectionist. I'm not trying to make the most elaborate stop motion animation things, because there are some amazing YouTubers out there that'll do that make just jaw dropping stuff. And I'm not even in that ballpark at all. I'm trying to be very upfront about how efficient I try to be with making these videos. And so when I make little clips like that, I am just trying to make that clip so I can reuse it later. Like, I'm not trying to hide that fact. So if you see a clip that I used earlier in a video, that's intentional. I'm intentionally trying to reuse some of those assets, because once you spend a couple of hours working on stop motion, you don't want to just use that once. You want to use that as many times as you can milk out of it, basically. So I get the compliments from high quality content, and I do think quality rises to the surface no matter what field you're in. But at the same time, there are definitely shortcuts that I'm taking, or things that I'm just trying to make easier on myself. And that's just a philosophy that I have, not only as a person making videos on the internet, but also as a teacher or just a person in general, right? You want to make things easy for yourself at some point in time. So, don't have to reinvent the wheel every single video.
No, that's totally fair. Stop motion is I've done it before. It's so incredibly time consuming. To make it look better, you gotta take more pictures, so that's even more time consuming.
Yep.
But I mean, I've always really enjoyed all the stop motion I've seen on your channel. So
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, it's it doesn't. There's no drawback to reusing the clips, because
it fits.
it's because you've found a way to use it that it's not like you're just doing it because it's the easiest. Like, you make them in a way that it makes it easier on yourself, and it's applicable more often.
Yeah, that's a big thing, and I really enjoyed talking about that in the I think it was the Happy Birthday Slugger video, or the birthday episode, whatever. Basically, just kind of pointing out that, like, whenever I make these, I'm pre-planning. I'm thinking, okay, here's subject A, here's subject B. I get to use this in two different episodes if I can, or sometimes even more. Some of these clips have probably been in like 20 episodes by this point, and that's great. Like, that's a lot of mileage. I did a great job, right? Reusing this clip and keeping it relevant that many times.
Yeah, and the clips you use also they're not like so case specific that you notice it's the same shot as in another video.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's not like a most of the shots, not all of them, but most of them are not like so specific to one set. Besides the ones that get reused that you would notice.
Yeah.
The ones of obviously like the set review where you see it like spin around like in the opening where the box slides out. Like,
right. Yeah.
That's one that you wouldn't reuse. But
That's a tough one to reuse. That's for sure.
that's true, unless you make like a supercut.
Yeah, and there is a supercut of the box slides. I think it's at the start of the HQ video, just because I was talking about how this time there's not going to be one because I don't have enough space on my shooting stand to actually slide the box out of the way.
Yes, that's right.
So I did get to reuse all of the sliding animations exactly once.
That's true. Even those got to be reused.
Yeah.
It's max efficiency.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. And efficiency with the caveat that I still want it to be like high quality stuff at the end of the day, right? I think you can have both, right? You can be efficient and still make good stuff.
Well, your channel's the proof.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
that you've been upfront and you've gone, I do this to basically make it, efficient, so that you're not killing yourself with work, but the quality of the content doesn't suffer because you're being efficient.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah.
Well, You got anything, Slugger? You got anything else?
We're past the 2-hour mark here.
Yeah, we're past 2 hours. I figure,
Oh, this is all getting cut out anyways, right? Yeah.
Oh shit! All right, now we're recording.
Okay.
Oh yeah, now we start. All right, now it's time to start the podcast.
Now we're
Everyone,
recording.
welcome back.
That was a good warm up, Slugger. You did really good.
session.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Was
you
I
hit-
supposed to hit the button? Do I hit the button now? Is that when I hit the button?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit the button now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And
it's blinking red. Great.
yeah.
All right,
3,
well, seriously,
2,
I-
1. Okay, good. We're ready. Welcome back,
wonderful, we're
Rock
back.
Raiders. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and today we're
Wait,
gonna
no,
be
this
talking.
is the wrong channel. Wrong channel. What-
Oh man, we
Wait a
made it into
minute.
one of his videos now.
We've officially
Yeah.
we've taken over Slugger's channel now.
Yeah. So you animated all this, right?
Right. Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
stop motion
I'm
clips.
gonna
You
need
guys
that
will just have to
2-hour
drag and drop 'em.
animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, seriously,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. It's been a huge honor, and I was just really happy to share our love of Lego, even though we trash talked them a little bit. That's okay.
That's what every Lego fan does. There's
Yeah.
everybody's got their list of grievances.
Well, it was fun to share in our. Our
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
seriously,
no,
thank you for coming on, Slugger. It's great.
No, I
Just
yeah.
being able to get to know you with getting ready to record and everything, and now finally being here and doing it. It's been a very pleasant experience.
Oh,
I was trying to think of the right word.
Yeah. No,
the honor is
you-
mine,
you-
guys. Thank you. Yeah. This is
You did not
Slugger's
have to
first
respond to us.
podcast. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you did not
No,
have
no,
to
I-
respond
I
to
was-
us, but
I was really
we're
excited.
very happy you did. Yeah, and you are welcome back anytime. Seriously.
Sounds good.
No, we'd love to have you on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to anybody who has listened to the 2-hour mark, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm very happy if anybody did. We have people that do, and people that like Slugger will, because Slugger's here.
Everyone's here for Slugger.
not-
We're
it's
just the bystanders here. Everyone's here for Slugger.
It's not the AI. People will stay for Slugger.
People
Right,
actually.
right,
He's a
yeah.
real person.
Thanks for sticking around,
But-
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on, Slugger. Thanks for everyone for listening.
And
As
yeah,
usual.
plug. Where can people find you?
Oh,
Slugger.
Well, yeah. You can find it on YouTube. RR Slugger. If you search that up, I'm sure these guys will link it in the description or something like that.
Oh yeah.
There's other places where you can find Slugger as well too. You can find him on Instagram. You can find him on email. I think with the Proton Mail, rrslugger at protonmail.com. I try not to expand the balloon too much further than that. I already have accounts that I don't monitor very frequently, like Flickr and stuff like that. So if you're trying to message me on Flickr, don't try to reach me there. I've checked that exactly once, and it was the day I created the account. So it's there's better ways to reach me. But yeah, I'm happy to hear from anyone that is enjoying the podcast or are already fans of the channel.
Well, that about does it for this episode.
Yeah. You got the last word here, Slugger. Whatever you want. You can say
What's
whatever.
the word? One word. You get it.
One word. Oh, hello.
Hello.
I'm thinking. Sorry.
lose him?
Yeah. No.
Oh, he's
he's-
okay.
it's okay, it's all right.
This is gonna be a
This
good
is a
one. This is
big
gonna be a
moment.
good last word.
This is a big moment. He's got to pick the
contemplating.
perfect word.
Disney. There we go.